Good morning and welcome to the Jeff Sargent pre-show. This is Dan Rupp, your producer and also engineer, trying to get things started here. The studio is left kind of in a mess, but I think I got everything fixed. I apologize for a little bit of static, but the mics are working now and the headphones are working now, so we'll play some songs here. We'll continue with our tribute to Hallows Eve, Halloween. Wow, that static's horrible. I gotta look at that some more. So while I look at the static, enjoy some Specimen, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Sounds like I'm talking into a tube or something. Bear with me as I try to figure out these technical difficulties. Somebody messed with everything last night, so I'm trying to fix everything. Let's see here. That's right, that's right. This is not right.
With bright green eyes, thin fingers, pointing. Dancing young was sitting on your high horse when the cowboys come for me. It's such a grief from the transport needs to end. Sharp teeth, pretty teeth, pretty sharp teeth all in a row. Face to face, don't look at guitars in the mouth. And next time, taste the taste, the sweet, sweet, bitter, sweet taste of excess. Oh, well, well, yes. He said he was the biggest boss, a bigger pair of nails on fingers. My, on my fingers. Sitting on your high horse when the cowboys come for me. It's such a grief from a transport that leads to an end. Sitting on your high horse when the cowboys come for me. It's such a grief from a transport that leads to an end. Pretty sharp teeth all in a row. I know. clean. Said my, someone's stressed, I'm in distress. It's not trash. So what of it? It's outside, it's down. I do the bad.
Yes, that was Specimen. Let's go here to our guest has already arrived. This is Alien Sex Fiend. She's a killer. Happy Halloween.
Examine both of their careers and try to figure out where their similarities began and ended.
Midnight snake bite caught me in the back of my neck. Do you wanna take a ride in my limousine? Yes, go to. Blue eyes.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
She's a killer. Likes you better dead than alive. Oh dear. Some kids cry and some kids laugh. And if they're really naughty, give them a lesson ball. When she comes round looking for you, her guns into nothing you can do. 13 floors high, and the town's still alive. And you, she's a killer. Likes you better alive. Some kids cry, some kids laugh. And if they're really naughty, give them an acid star. Right. You see, papers and letters in right after. Anyway, I wasn't anywhere last night. This is the truth. Someone knocking on the window. Someone's knocking on my door. I'm not normal. I'm not quite right. Right! Can you hear the bells ringing? It must be Sunday. You see the sun? Must be Sunday. Can you hear cars? Must be Monday. Nothing doing when she comes round looking for you. Her guns and tape, there's nothing you can do. Well, I've lived on lights long enough, and I should know. The sun is shining, it must be Sunday. The bells are ringing for me and my girl. Right. Midnight, snake bite coming back of my neck. But do you wanna take a ride in my limousine? Do you wanna take a ride in my limousine? Do you wanna take a ride in my limousine? Do you wanna take a ride, young lady? Wanna take a ride? Do you wanna take a ride on the end of this?
All right, that was Alien Halloween sex fiend. Wow. For your Halloween taste, she's a killer. Let's go on to my friend's band, the late, great Roz, who has passed away due to suicide. But George Bellinger, the drummer, is still around, and I still talk to him. Hello, George, if you're listening. This is some Christian Death, Romeo's Distress. Wow, I cut that short. Didn't mean to. I'm going to instead play some Yeasty Boys. This is a song called Bonzo Bomb.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Carl C. Boyer from KLWN News. Disturbing story, we're receiving reports that we're being attacked by a small, virtually unknown country west of Afghanistan, better known as Clownistan. It seems these psychotic clowns have launched a bomb attack, and its target is Orange County, California. We'll keep you posted.
They're doing the Weirdos, Dan. That's the Weirdos version of Neutron Bomb.
Yeah. This is the Yeasty Boys Bozo Bomb.
We all want it. We all want it. Don't call me. We all want it. We all want it.
As you know, they're clowns.
Don't call me. We got a bozo bomb. We got a bozo bomb. We got a bozo. Big tops all over the place. You're gonna get hit on your face. Circus in from the big top of the free. But don't call me. We got a bozo bomb. 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 Here we go. We all want it. We all want it. Don't call me. We all want it. We all want it. Don't call me. We all want it. We all want it. Don't call me. We all want it. We all want it. Don't call me. We all want it. We all want it. We all want it. We
Okay, with the circus music, you clown.
I don't know. Dutchie said that plug is old.
What?
Dutchie said that plug is old.
This one?
Yeah.
Why? Well, I don't know why it was plugged into the headphones there, but that's for my MP3 player.
No, the station was. I got here at 5:45, and the station was a mess.
You know, that's what pisses me off. And then he said, you know, we
gets-
come in to do our show, everything should be set ready like the way we leave it.
Yeah, and he gets mad at us because we leave the fan on.
Yeah. Oh, that's a $300 electric bill because we leave the.
Yeah, we leave a stupid little fan on. I'm going to play one more Yeasty Boys song, and then we're going to start your show.
Okay, yeah.
Set up and load up and get your stuff
I'm
ready.
getting ready to queue up here.
Okay, we're going to have our guest on...
Oh, okay, she's calling in Veronica Carlson, Dan. She's an actress that was with Christopher Lee and all the old Hammer horror films.
Yeah, but our first guest is here already.
Is what?
Is here already.
Yes, yeah. But she's gonna call in at 7:15.
Okay.
So expect that call. It's coming in from North Carolina.
All right.
And then another guy, David DeValle. He's a writer. He's going to be calling in too.
Okay, I'll keep my eyes open in here. I had to take my wig off because I couldn't hear, and I had to make sure everything was working because everything was just it was
jacked up, huh?
It was messed up this morning, and I shouldn't have to put up with that crap, you know. So
this is really weird, like an echoing. What? Ow! 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 Turn that fucking thing down. Why is the volume? Shut that shit off! Hold on, I can't even hear. It's plugged. What the fuck is with everything? Turn that off right now. Why is everything blasted and it's echoing?
I have no idea.
Everything
turn the volume down on the auxiliary switch.
Okay, auxiliary. I turned off. Okay, live phone call. Let's see. Everything. Okay, I'm turning that off. Engineer, I got you. Okay.
You're turning me off.
Look. Come in here. Come in here and tell. You got to come in here.
Okay, let me take another look at it. I thought I had it done right, but
It's all fucked up, man.
yeah, shit. And I get here at 6 o'clock for this shit.
The all-night party on the street when you're walking down the street drinking and having a good time. He's like better, by the way. This is not how Dan usually dresses.
I'm recording for duty.
Look, fuck. Dan, look, I can't get my thing running here. This is not working. Nothing's working. Yeah. Everything's okay. I can hear them, what they're talking out there. Where the microphones going?
We got this microphone on. We got
Here, check it out. Listen, I'm trying to get this. Look, this is playing. It's not playing on there. I got it.
okay, because it's on mute. Look,
That's not it. That's not it. It's this one. That's my cord. This is what I always use.
My acting coach used to say that. He used to say, Willard Pugh, who was he was Oprah's husband in Purple. Willard used to say, if you have time, you're like,
it should be on this one.
and every edition.
But I always use this. This is the one I put the turntable in, and I switch this, and I always play it on this one. And why is nothing working? Look at this.
That's working fine.
Now why is it off? Look. Okay, now what?
No, it's working. You can hear me.
But look, it's off. You can still hear you. Look.
No.
Now what?
Yeah. No, it's working though.
Testing 1, 2. But it's all echoey. Look, it's picking up everywhere. Everywhere, where I'm standing, it's like there's microphone. Where's that microphone coming in? It's like I don't even need to talk into this.
It's probably coming from this microphone, which is where Patrick sits.
No.
And that's where our guest is.
Look, they're all the way down, Dan. Nothing's happened. Look at this. Look when you talk into here. We can hear them just like us. This is not right. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. It makes no difference. It makes no. Look. I shut everything off. And it's still. Look, everything is still on. Look, the whole board is off. Everything is still working. Why is everything so fucked up?
I have no idea.
And all that hiss. Look, this is with everything shut off.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's do this.
Well, you were in terminal kill.
Do this. Do this.
But there was somebody behind the camera on that. Was that Steve Miner? Who was the
Let me make sure the buttons are out.
behind the scenes bar guy?
Let me read. Guy, I'm still getting that mean hiss.
Oh, yeah, no one let it for me.
This is our big day, and this shit like this is going on. I don't even have to. I can hear myself loud, and no matter where I'm talking. It's like, is it the YouTube mics or what?
I don't know if it's a YouTube line or what, but YouTube doesn't come in through here, so that just goes right in the side computer and the engineering.
But it's
room.
never sounded like this ever. And there's no control. I can't control nothing.
She was telling you it was a Russian guy because they weren't going to take a guy who was doing a floor.
What's this?
Dutchie told me that's an old mic and not to worry about it.
What, this?
Yeah.
These?
No, there's the hiss. But you can't hear it on the radio because I listened to the show on my phone because I was playing music, and you can't hear this hiss on the radio. So I'm not sure.
I heard that's the show. What do you want to drink? Do you want pumpkin spice or French vanilla with that?
I'm still a French vanilla.
Yeah, boy.
Let's go ahead and start the show, Jeff.
I'll let you put in your own amount, sir. Oh, what's the joke?
I don't know if you've ever heard this one about the penguin who's driving his penguin car.
Go on.
And all of a sudden there's this, it starts to rumble and everything just sort of
What are you drinking, Jeff?
something drives apart. And he limps it into a service station.
But high def or decaf?
Decaf, that's a whole.
I'm making sure. I'm making sure.
Non-alcoholic beer, what's the point?
Yeah, it's like drinking, would you like to know two rules?
I'm making sure, bitch. I want to make sure. Jerry's home.
So he limps it into the service station, he waddles up to the service guy and taps him on the knee. And the service guy looks down.
Can you fix my car?
And the guy says, well, you have 3 guys ahead of you. Tell you what, go have lunch, enjoy yourself, come back in about an hour or so, and we'll see. So Penguin waddles off.
Right.
Goes to the watch. And says, "Oh, it's about time to go back." So he starts going. All of a sudden, he sees Ben and Jerry. He goes in, takes a lovely ice cream cone, and having a wonderful time, laughing it up. Finally, he goes back to the service guy and asks him on the knee. He says, "You able to fix my car?" And he's done. Says, the service guy says, "It's Louis Steele." He goes, "No, it's Frank Fennell."
No.
Okay, what do we just roll with it anyway, or what? Is that all we can do?
Yeah, it's not hitting on the on error.
The control board is not, I got no control with the volume, with the slides and the thing, but everything's picking up in the whole station. So we're gonna be heard.
Oh, yeah, there's no...
Yeah, you're being heard right now.
Oh, one thing worked out.
There's no off-the-air shit. There's just... Why is this happening on my big
They can hear us now, too.
What?
We're gonna be heard.
What? I can hear everything.
Holy cow. Well, it's our double secret probation, baby. Watch your P's and Q's. Hey, Joe Paranoia, you ready for coffee? I know, nothing like coffee in the morning, my friend.
I would take it intravenously. It's just a ground kick stuff.
Shame on you.
That's a great penguin voice, by the way.
That wasn't a terrific penguin voice. That's all the point.
Okay, this is all insanity right here, listening to the headphones. I'm not even sure if I could...
No, you're coming in clear. The show's coming in clear. I'm listening to it on my application. I don't know what's wrong with the sound in here, but
I'm just excited we're on the air, boy.
we are on the air.
Wow.
It's... Come on, everybody, let's start the show.
Start the show.
I don't even have to get up to the microphone. I'm just holding the... I'm just talking. I'm just doing it without even the headphones right now.
Here you go,
I
Mod
can put it on right here.
So we don't need the headphones? Put them on anyway. Phil,
Sit down, you'll find out.
I'll get my coffee.
What's with the delay thing, Dan? Talk to me, Dan. Talk.
No, I'm listening to the show on the application. It sounds fine. I don't know why it sounds kind of funky.
Why are we getting feedback? Stop the feedback.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay.
I'm not an engineer. I'm a producer.
All right.
Captain, that's
I'm sorry.
Damn it, know.
I mean, I've only been here for 3 years. I still don't know all this shit.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing fine.
Jeff was here early, man. Thank you, Jeff, for coming in. And
Oh, sure.
God bless you for bringing in donuts, Dan. That must have made our guests feel better.
yeah,
Okay, Pat.
What's with the feedback?
Yeah, the feedback. Maybe.
Just not to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
So we're on
one
the air right now, right?
angry clown. Yeah, we are on the air.
Oh my God.
Theme song. Can you play the theme
Welcome
song?
to the Jeff Sargent Show, only on Chaotic Radio.
All hell is breaking loose.
All hell is breaking loose, and we are. Hey, we're how many miles from LA? We're like 30 minutes from Pasadena. Put it
And
that
you
way.
what an irony, since our most charming guest has come 30 minutes from Pasadena. We're with the actor, fun guy, voiceover artist, and penguin impersonator, Jeffrey Brassard. Jeffrey, talk to us. Introduce yourself to the Manling Horde.
Okay, is my mic on?
Oh yeah, you're on.
Oh
brother.
yeah, you can hear me?
I can. Everybody, look, we're hearing every. Oh my God.
Okay,
Happy Halloween in the studio.
Because I can't hear me.
You can't hear you?
No, I can't hear me
What?
at
Oh, he's
all.
on a microphone number.
Hello,
There
hello,
we go.
hello.
He's on 3.
Am I on 3?
I already took it off. Remember, this board is not working. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but not because of the microphone,
Oh, okay. Well,
and not because of the headphones either.
look, I'm picking you up.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Hi,
Yeah.
my name is Jeffrey Breslauer. I'm an actor, writer, voice artist, and former puppeteer.
All right. Yes, I know that you worked on the Muppets. How many characters did you do on the Muppets?
I was one of the, basically, I was one of the background puppeteers. And I even got to play myself in a scene with Rolf the dog, who was Jim Henson. As far as the puppets that I worked on the entire Dr. Teeth band except for Zoot, the sax player. I worked on the Swedish Chef. I was several penguins and several dogs in the Muppets at Walt Disney World. I was 2 Irish setters dancing at the same time in the Muppets Take Manhattan.
City? Was this the Henson show, Dark City?
No, it was the Muppets Take Manhattan and the Muppets at Walt Disney World.
Oh, you're in the Muppets Taking Manhattan.
Yeah.
Wow, with the great John Landis.
Oh, yeah.
Were you on the set when Landis did his bit?
My main thing was towards the end of the movie where they have that whole wedding scene on stage with the supposedly phony priest who was marrying them.
Right.
And then it turned out to be not a phony wedding. And, the whole where the priest says, now because your love's so big, I now pronounce you frog and pig. So, what else? Who else did I do?
You hung with the great Jim Henson, of course.
I was working with Jim Henson. I was working with Frank Oz.
Wow.
Steve Whitmire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Carol Spinney?
No, Carol was working on
Follow
Big
That
Bird.
Bird the same year.
Yeah, Follow That Bird, yeah. But with a lot of it, there weren't any crossovers except for the cameos. And they were at the wedding, though.
Were they? Big Bird would have been at
Big Bird. Several of the characters from Sesame Street were in the audience at the wedding. Yeah.
What was Jim Henson like?
He was a force of nature. He was absolutely incredible. He never worried about money. Well, of course, he didn't have to, but he never worried about. He never concerned himself about money. He would say, "Yeah, the money's good. Let's be creative. Let's play. Come on." And there was one thing that I always wondered. If ever, when I was a kid, I always thought to myself, because I basically knew how puppeteering worked, even as a kid, but I always wondered, if I was to work with the Muppets, would I have this urge to look down? The answer? No.
You kept the eye line with the puppet?
Not only did I keep the eye line of the puppet, but when I did, I played a pet care attendant in the Muppets at Walt Disney World, aside from being a background puppeteer. So I had 2 contracts on that show.
Wow, nice.
And I play this pet care attendant. Now, the basic premise of the Muppets at Walt Disney World is the Muppets are visiting with Kermit, and Kermit wants to go to the Frog Festival and bug fry at his hometown in the swamp. Now, the thing is, the swamp on the other side of the trees is Walt Disney World. So Fozzie basically says, Kermit, you don't understand. You want us to choose between Walt Disney World and fried bugs. So they invade Walt Disney World. And they're all over the place. They're running all over the place. Well, all of a sudden, Rolf, the dog, who is, I love Kermit, but Rolf is my dog.
Yeah, he's the one you puppeteered, right?
No, I never did. I never worked on Rolf, but
he was your favorite.
He was my favorite from the Jimmy Dean show on.
Wow.
He was really basically the original, I guess, front runner of the Muppets.
Right.
Oh yeah. So when Jim came up to me, now Jim Henson was a guy who was tall and lanky with a beard. He looked like he belonged with Peter, Paul, and Mary. He really did. Yeah, if you think about it, he looked like an old hippie with a beard. It looked great. So it was kind of weird when he comes up to me and he says, is it all right if we do some lines here? And I'm looking at him like, your voice sounds like it belongs in a little green frog, and it's coming out of this big guy.
Oh, that was his actual speaking voice. The Kermit voice.
Kermit, he modulated his voice just a little bit, but it was close to his own real voice.
Wow.
So
Now-
in the Muppet Show and the Muppet movies, how hard is it? Do they get underneath the puppets to do them, or are they above them? I
Well,
don't,
as a matter of fact,
because you don't see them at all.
yeah. Now, they're actually below the puppets. And what they do is, picture an office chair. You know, the ones with the rolling casters and the pole underneath the seat to make it tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kind that he always breaks all the time.
Yeah, well, take out the pole.
Excuse me.
Pretty much, take out the pole so you have the seat right on the rolling casters. The seat can tilt back, and the puppeteer sits in that with the headset, and it's usually a band around his head, and the microphone comes down, and he's able to talk to, and usually, if it's one of the contract Muppet players, the windscreen on the microphone is shaped like his main character.
Really? So that keeps you in
So
mind.
that's also how they know whose mic is who.
Wow.
So Jim would be talking into a little Kermit. Dave Goelz would be talking into a little Gonzo. You know, Steve Whitmire, I think, was talking into a little Rizzo. And so on and so on. Frank Oz would be talking into a little, I want to say,
Grover?
no, I want to say Piggy.
Yeah, that's right. He's Miss Piggy.
Yeah. But anyway, they would be underneath. We would all have little monitors in our laps so we could see what the camera sees. I think puppeteering is the only performing art where you could actually see your performance from the audience's point of view as you're doing it.
Wow.
So that's basically what it is. The hand goes up, and the puppeteer is underneath the puppet, which is why I said before I always wondered if I wanted to look down and look at the puppeteer. The answer was no, because when I did the scene with Rolf, I was directed by Rolf. I wasn't directed by Jim.
You had the dog voice?
Yeah. I would come in, I would be behind the glass door of the pet care center right at the entrance to the Magic Kingdom. I couldn't hear my cue. So I would all of a sudden go out, and he says, well, I'm just sort of standing around here. I was kind of wondering if you'd come in a little earlier. And I would look at Rolf right in the eye and say, oh, yes, sir, of course.
So you made
yes.
eye contact with the dog. Wow, fascinating.
So I would come in earlier, and we would go through, and, well, Jim said to me, is it all right if we could run through lines, please? And I would say, yeah. So we're doing it, and all of a sudden, he immediately flipped into, hey, they got a pet care center here. Maybe they can help me. And I go, excuse me, who's your owner? Owner? I have no owner, sir. But perhaps you can help me. You see, the Walt Disney World is such a big place. I don't know what to do with all this incredible freedom. And I would throw a butterfly net over his head. Now, there's a solution I hadn't particularly thought of. And I would say, come on. Wait, you don't understand. I got a license. But it was all like that. Everything was done through the puppets. Now, the weirdest thing, which was really surreal, was in The Muppets Take Manhattan. Now, like I said, I was in the wedding scene, the big show-stopping number at the end. And Frank Oz was directing that particular segment. And he was also double working. He was also working Fozzie.
Wow.
Now, he was directing, and he was also doing Fozzie. Nothing.
That's double multitasking right
Yeah,
there.
but nothing was more surreal than looking at the monitor and seeing all of these union cameramen, union grips, union lighting people, union set designers, all of that. They're all taking direction from a little brown bear who tells bad jokes. And I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden, you'd hear Fozzie, cut, all right, everybody, back to one. And they're all looking at him going, yes, sir, absolutely, okay, everyone back to one. It's like, this is a bear who can't even get respect from two old guys in a balcony.
And he's commanding.
And he's directing a film. And it's like, what?
Wow.
It was so surreal.
Patrick, you may even know this. Who played those two grumpy old men up at the balcony? They were hilarious.
Statler and Waldorf. Unfortunately, they're both gone. Now, Statler was the lantern-jawed one on the right.
Yes.
That was a guy by the name of Richard Hunt.
Wow, look at you.
Richard Hunt.
You know who he is.
Yeah. Richard Hunt, his main character was Scooter. Remember Scooter?
Yeah, the kid with the orange.
kid with the glasses.
The three hair,
yeah.
Yes.
That was Richard's main character. Now, Waldorf, the older guy with the big white mustache,
Loved him. He was my
that
favorite.
was Jim. That was Jim
That
Henson.
was Jim himself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And with them, it was basically vaudeville.
Yeah, heckling.
You know, one said to the other one, Waldorf says, hey, I just got a new hearing aid. Cost me $4.50. And Statler would go, really? What kind is it? Oh, about 11:45.
But you were saying that it threw you when you met Jim Henson. He was this real thin, older hippie.
Yeah.
And yet he was talking in
And yet he
Kermit's
was talking,
voice.
and then all of a sudden he talked like Ralph. And I was looking at him like, you do a great Ralph impression. You know, it's like,
Isn't that weird? I mean,
it is kind of weird. And one of the amazing things about working with the Henson Company was whenever children came onto the set, like when we did the Muppets of Walt Disney World, one of the stars was Raven Simone, and she was still a Cosby kid at that time.
Wow.
She was a little kid. In fact, she gets to sing Rainbow Connection.
wow. Kermit's main song.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
the movie.
But,
Written by Paul Williams, by the way.
oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But it was weird because whenever children, it was actually adorable. Whenever children came onto the set, all production stopped and they did a puppet show for the kids.
Wow. What a great guy.
Just because.
Wow. That chokes me up.
Yeah.
Especially with all the pedophilia scandal going on now and all that.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that there was a production where they wanted to preserve little kids, you know?
Oh, yeah. And Frank, to his credit, his kids were little at the time. And it was really wonderful. When his kids came onto the set, he didn't take part because he was savvy enough to realize that, and he said, no, I can't do any of my puppets here because the kids they would see daddy and they wouldn't understand what's he doing.
Wow.
Oh, it would kind of spoil the whole thing,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
yeah.
You don't want to freak them out or pull them
Yeah.
out of it. That makes me admire him
It's-
and Henson even more.
The creativity in working with the Muppets, and especially with Jim Henson and Frank Oz and all of those people, it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It was, you can't duplicate that.
No.
The chemistry there, you can never duplicate chemistry. Chemistry is, when it is, it is. And when it's over, different chemistry might come. But it was a special kind of magic. And to be able to have been a part of that for 2 productions.
You were with the Steve Jobs of puppets, you know?
I was.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever look back at the days of the puppets that were handled by hands, the marionettes, I think they called them?
Yeah, well, I never really got into marionettes.
That's another genre of puppetry.
Well,
isn't it?
It's old school, like really.
Oh
old
yeah, it's very
school.
old school, and it's that goes back even a lot farther back than Howdy Doody. But there was something basically ethereal about a marionette, because just by seeing a marionette move on the strings, there was a lighter than air quality about the movements.
Yeah.
And because of that, it didn't attract me as much as hand puppets, because hand puppets, for me, because I would be in actual contact with the movement of the face and with the rods, the movement of the arms, my emotional connection would be a lot stronger.
Really?
Yeah, I noticed that
Yeah.
when you're using your hand and you're speaking, and you become one with it. You're bringing that to life. Like I remember back when I was a kid, Winslow Mahoney time.
Sure.
And they would, Knucklehead and Jerry Mahoney would have the real hands going up, and he would eat spaghetti and slop, and as well as the other hand movements, even ones with the sticks. You saw them from below, and you really don't even pay attention to that because you're focused on that.
Right.
On that character.
Now, it's amazing about when you have certain puppets that are with hands as opposed to the puppets with the rods. Like Kermit has rods. You know.
Right.
Yeah, for the hands?
Yeah, for that.
Because
to
he's
make
a
the hands
you're a
move.
skinny guy. You can't,
Yeah.
You gotta.
Now, Rolf was a 2-person puppet.
Rolf the dog?
Yeah,
Why?
because he would play the piano and
Oh, wow. I never even thought
I
about
never even
that.
thought of that.
Okay, well, you got to have a piano player,
Well,
and then
you have
another
to
guy
have-
controlling his head in the.
sing. Either that, or you have the right hand,
Wow.
which would be Jim. The right hand would be in the head. The left hand would be the left paw. And at that time, there would be another puppeteer right behind coming up, and he would be the right paw. When we did the Muppets at Walt Disney World, it was Kevin Clash.
Wow. What about Animal, the drummer?
Animal,
Now, was he stick? Was he stick?
he was stick, yeah.
Okay, stick
But
on the hands.
with Animal, when he would be behind the drums and playing the drum set, the sticks would have the rods and his arms would follow.
Really?
Yeah. It
Wow, I
was,
never saw the sticks.
Well, you-
no, because they were part of the drumsticks. They
Wow.
Yeah, it was just incredible.
That's
gotta-
amazing.
We're going to have Veronica Carlson will be calling in at any moment, but let's keep talking till
Okay.
that phone call comes in.
And then we'll interrupt for a hammer.
And then we're gonna talk
You're
about-
entitled to throw in questions too.
Oh,
And then
Yes.
Right back to you, baby. In fact, you've done a ton of stuff, but what I want to talk to you about is Joe Dante's Matinee.
oh,
I freaking love Matinee. And by the way, here's the sad thing. On a family vacation, the Jankowitzes went to Coral Gables about 5 years ago.
uh-huh.
The movie theater for Matinee is now a CVS pharmacy. Tell us about shooting it there, though. You actually shot it in that?
No.
No?
No,
Just exteriors?
no. That was the movie theater was where the kids were in the audience.
Yeah.
And where John Goodman was when the thug boyfriend of Kelly Martin was dressed in the Mant outfit,
Yes.
and everything going on in the audience was shot at that theater. Our stuff, I was in Mant.
Yes, you're in the...
I'm in the movie
with.
within the movie.
I love the movie within the movie more than the movie.
Yeah.
But you're not only in it, you're with Robert Cornwaith, who played the scientist who creates the Mant. The guy in the movie with you, he's the Soviet hat wearing scientist in the original The Thing.
Right.
Tell us about doing that. Was that fun?
Well, see, the thing was, the only, I guess, star I got to work with on a one-to-one basis was Joe Dante.
Wow. Oh, you mean you weren't in any scenes with Cornwaith or the female?
No. In fact, I never got to meet Kevin McCarthy. He's headed for that movie theater, the general. And I didn't even get to work with William Shallard, who played the dentist.
You know what? My first SAG credit was with William Shallard.
Was it?
Yeah, I did a movie with William Shallard. I did commercials before that.
Uh-huh.
I did a Beethoven movie with him.
Really?
And because the dogs couldn't be controlled, we sat there for a week, and it was William Shallard. It was, that Canadian guy, I'm blanking on his name. They're both gone now, unfortunately. We lost Bill early this year.
Yeah.
But making poor William Shallard do his entire resume. Do you know he's a gas station attendant in Mighty Joe Young?
I did not know
The
that.
original Mighty Joe Young, William Shallard is a gas station attendant. He met his wife when he was playing a mutant in World Without End, I believe it was.
Okay,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
sure.
He was a mutant and she was one of the future people.
Wow.
So nobody's with you in that scene? Tell us about that.
Oh, no, there were people in the scene. In fact, some of those people are lifelong friends of mine now. I was one of the bijou actors doing the whole run for your lives, it came out of the screen. And I was sitting in a mock movie theater, but it was on the Universal set.
Your stuff was shot at Universal Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Same place you shot Swamp Thing. But
Yep.
And Superboy, too.
And
And
Superboy as well.
Superboy also,
Wow,
yeah.
wow.
We did everything at Universal. But we wound up shooting for, what was it, a day or so for the bijou actors. But that scene was the scene that I and Peggy O'Neill and Molly Knoll and Tim Bass and Colette Picot.
You're so
We
funny
all-
in that. You have that whole 60s look and sound.
and it's funny because Joe takes close-ups of each of us as a reaction. Now, I'm wearing that Jimmy Olsen bow tie,
Yes, the old-fashioned. Yeah.
and I have this
Yes.
scared look on my face.
Yeah, the gibbering lip and the fluttering hand. You know what I mean?
practically.
You are so damn funny. Tell us about Joe Dante. I love Joe Dante, but what was it like to be directed by Joe Dante?
It was a blast. For one thing, you can never go wrong when the director is a fan of the genre.
He knows, and you're a fan of the genre.
Oh,
so
me too, absolutely.
you know what to throw in for a full-on William Castle homage.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. And that's basically what the movie was.
Wow.
It was an homage to William Castle. John Goodman's character, Lawrence Woolsey,
Completely
was
Bill
basically
Castle.
William Castle.
Wow.
Yeah.
With Jesse White was sort of Samuel Z. Arkoff. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. He was the big distributor, producer for
Just-
it. And Robert Picardo was the theater manager
Yeah.
who had the bomb shelter right there. But that's my bomb shelter.
That's mine.
Yeah, no. Just a charming as hell movie. It was one of those movies that completely fell through the cracks. It opened within months, within weeks of Jurassic Park, and it just got swallowed up. I felt bad for Dante because it's obviously a labor of love.
And it never got the press that it deserved.
It's true.
You know, I did a theater play with Frank Gorshin.
The Riddler. I told you
Riddler.
my story about him and my neighbor.
Yeah. And
Which I won't tell in the
the
air.
two of us used to talk all the time. He was one of my best friends for the last 10 years of his life.
Wow.
And he and I used to talk about movies that we've done that never got the wings that it deserved. And with me, it was Matinee.
Yeah, because Matinee is fantastic. I mean, it's fully committed.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
See, what's funny with Frank used to tell me his the movie that never really took off and was a wonderful film in its own right, but never got the credit that it deserved. And he was not even credited in the film. His character wasn't even credited.
Invasion
in
of the Saucermen?
Warlock.
Oh, wow. Warlock, the Western.
The Western with Henry Fonda and Richard Widmark.
I just interviewed a guy who did one of the most amazing stunts in history in that movie, where he jumps from horse to horse.
Right,
He's 94 and he's still with us.
Oh
Wow.
my God, that was such a great. You don't see that in movies.
Robert Heron, he's the world's oldest living stuntman. He just turned
Wow.
94. God love him.
Wow.
You know. But so Gorshin's in Warlock.
He played Richard Widmark's kid brother Billy.
But his whole Riddler, the Riddler it's just his Riddler on Batman is a complete impression of Richard Widmark in Kiss of Death.
Right, yeah, especially the laugh.
The giggle, he does this giggle
Yeah.
after he pushes the old lady. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, are you friends? Do you know Wally Winger?
I know the name. I've never met Wally.
Okay, Wally did Frank Gorshin's voice in the animated Adam West cartoon.
Right.
Boy, he did a great job on that. He was.
Yeah, he
just
sounds
spot
just
on.
like him.
The
Yeah.
latest one, Batman versus Two-Face?
Yeah, well, Shatner doing the voice of
He did the one where they did the animated.
no, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's the second
And-
movie. And was Wally in the first one too?
I believe he was. Wally was friends with Adam.
Right.
Well, if you ever get a chance to go to Wally's living room, he has the Wayne Manor living room, and you turn on the light. He has the bust of Shakespeare.
Yeah.
You pull the head open like on the old show, but Wally has a dial which turns on lights and all his.
Yeah,
trophy
I have
cases.
one of those too.
Do you really?
I do.
How
I
come
do.
I don't have one?
I would go into my my old recording studio in Orlando. I would open up the bus, turn the light on, and the lights in the recording studio
How
would go
damn
on.
cool is
Oh,
that?
yeah.
You have the bust of Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And it anything from the old show. I was a huge fan.
Do you watch Gotham?
I do.
What do you think of the new Riddler there? He hasn't really come out yet.
Well,
but
he's on the verge.
yeah, he's right there on the cuts.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed with what they're doing with Gotham.
I can't accept any show where Batman's not already kicking ass. I've interviewed Penguin. And
Robin?
Penguin's, the guy who played Penguin's a very good actor. The guy who plays Commissioner Gordon, Jim Gordon.
Right.
But I can't watch a show where Batman's 13 years old. Screw that.
No,
Well, you
he's
know,
he's
it was-
starting to mature and he's starting to be a man. So
He's coming into his own now, which is good. I mean, it's happening faster than I expected.
yeah, because he was just a little boy when the show started.
Yeah, which was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, zoom! They put Miracle Grow in his oatmeal.
And now he's shaving. He's got his first razor.
So, but they're at least in the right direction, as opposed to you remember the TV show Birds of Prey?
I used to love Birds of Prey.
I liked it, but my biggest problem with that is all the great things have happened already.
Yeah, Batman's
Batman's
old.
not there.
Catwoman's dead. They killed Catwoman in the pilot.
Yeah, Batman's not there.
Yes.
He's
It's
just an
post-Batman.
unseen voice talking to Alfred. So all of the great stuff has happened already.
Wow. Yeah, okay, but at least Batman exists.
Yeah.
On Gotham,
But
he's fucking
I-
freaking 13.
Oh yeah. But I like the idea of them seeing Bruce Wayne becoming. I like the idea of becoming.
The whole Smallville thing of
the whole
becoming
Smallville
hero.
thing. Now, with Smallville, I liked Smallville also. There were a couple of things that I was frustrated with Smallville.
The
And
resistance to put them in costume?
well, that's one. But the other thing is, there was an acting opportunity for Tom Welling that they did not go with, which is a real shame.
Tell me more.
There was an episode where he gets hit with a beam of kryptonite in his eye, and his eyes are blurry. And all of a sudden, there's a scene where he turns around and he's wearing glasses. aha.
yeah.
That's like an aha moment.
Right, yeah.
And then the next episode, he's not wearing the glasses anymore.
Wow.
See, now, all right, he didn't want to wear the costume, fine. But Clark Kent and the future Superman are still two different characters.
This is true.
The direction, the directors and the producers, they missed a good opportunity. Now we could at least see how, with Jonathan Kent's help, with John Schneider's help, how to make Clark meek
Interesting.
and mild. When he's around family, he could be his own regular
They know him,
future
yeah.
Superman self. But when he's out with people, cultivating the meek and mild with the glasses.
I don't think they ever did that, did they?
They didn't. All of a sudden, he's already working at the Daily Planet without glasses, and then, toward the end, then he puts on the glasses.
That annoys me because by that point, he's working with a bunch of journalists. You would know that
Who
if Jeff
can
starts
see.
flying around saving buses, I would know. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, but it was an opportunity that was missed, and it was a shame about that.
No, you're totally right.
But all in all, everyone in the show was wonderful. I thought that Erica Durance was a perfect Lois Lane.
Yeah, no, Erica Durance, she was sort of the booster rocket when the show was flailing, when everyone was having their deals and going off to other things.
Oh, yeah.
They brought her in, and she seemed happy to be there and just rocked the show. You know?
Oh, yes. I got to meet her and her husband at MegaCon in Orlando.
Oh, in Orlando.
And what a lovely woman. She was absolutely gracious, wonderful person.
I've heard that. And you did 2 episodes of Superboy, so you worked with another.
I worked on...
Were you with John Newton, or were you the second Superboy?
I was mainly with Gerard Christopher. I worked on something with each season. In season 2, I did voiceover work.
Right, and you were, I think, a Marine Guard.
I was a Marine in Wish for Armageddon that Gerard wrote.
Really?
He wrote that episode, and my scene was sliced out. But that led the way for Paranoia, which starred my future friends for life, Jack Larson and Noel Neal.
Oh, that's right. You were in the
Wow,
episode with the
that's
original
cool.
Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Noel Neal. People forget this. Noel was the very first Lois Lane. Phyllis
with
Coates
Kirk
was the
Allen.
second. Yes, in the serial.
I get them so
series.
mixed up because they look so much alike that I can't remember who was first.
I like Phyllis Coates a little bit more. My first Lois Lane was Margot Kidder.
Right.
How were those two? Did you enjoy hanging out?
Oh, yeah. We would be in the waiting room, and it's funny. Jack was a person who always kept up with the people who worked on the show.
Really?
He always, a little more than Noelle. Noelle was a darling woman. I adored her, and can't say anything good enough to how I felt about Noelle. Gracious woman, loved the fans. She and Jack were the perfect ambassadors for the adventures of Superman. And I wound up getting boosts into certain conventions thanks to Noelle.
Did you do the Superman celebration in Metropolis?
I've done that.
Tell me about that.
I'm hoping to go there this coming year, 2018.
Oh, did we get Veronica?
Is she calling in?
Okay, you're in for a double treat today, gang. It's an echo when you put this on. You're in for a double treat today, gang. We're going to get, besides the great Jeffrey B., we're going to get Veronica Carlson, the Hammer horror babe. And still a bombshell. We're just looking at a picture of her today. Wow.
I think Dan is on the phone with her right now.
Wow, wow, wow. All right, Jeffrey, you are
Hold on.
you are in for a treat, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Let's he's got her on the line.
Dan is bogarting our guest.
Okay, now we got to get it where we could hear. What's going on here?
We will soon. Yeah, this is compelling radio, not talking.
We're having some crazy stuff going on with the inside the studio. Okay.
This is so exciting. We're gonna have a Hammer Horror Bomb show.
We've got to get her.
Get your phone off mute, and she'll be on line 1.
Wow, we got Veronica Carlson and you, Jeffrey.
Okay, wait, phone on here. Okay. Remember that nothing on the board is working here, Dan. There we go.
Wow, Veronica Carlson, Hammer Movie.
Yes, turn her down a little bit.
I got no control on the volume here. I got nothing. No
chill,
control on this.
chill. Don't scare our guest off.
Okay, then.
We have 2 good guests today instead of 1. You're trying to scare her off. Veronica, wow. Thank you.
I can hardly hear you.
Happy Halloween, Your Highness. Happy Halloween, Your Highness.
Well, thank you. I'm wishing you a happy Halloween, too. I think the gremlins are working. You'll have to shout, Jeffrey. I can hardly hear you.
You know what? Can you hear me? Happy to shout at the beautiful British woman. Thank you.
That was Patrick. This is Jeffrey, Veronica. How you doing?
And
I'm doing fine.
And I'm Dan. I'm the guy who answered the phone and got you through.
Dan the man, our producer, and our special guest, Jeffrey Breslauer. Hammer Movie aficionado.
Dan is wearing clown makeup. He's slapping Weinstein in his hospital gown.
I love it.
In the engineer booth. Me and Dan are the only ones in makeup today.
Well, I am wearing black and orange. So.
And actor Jeffrey Bressler is here. He's also a puppeteer from the Muppets.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yes.
I wish I was there.
Remember.
Here I am standing in my kitchen with ordinary makeup on. You make it sound very boring.
No. See, we've seen enough of your movies that we know you're holding a candelabra. You've got giant puffy shoulders.
Yes.
And your kitchen leads to a dank basement where your crazed uncle is working on something unholy.
Well, I have been polishing silver candlesticks this morning. Does that count?
Yes, perfectly. So, Veronica, you did one of my favorite BBC shows. You're on My Partner the Ghost, a.k.a. Randall and Hopkirk Deceased.
Oh, my God. 30 years ago.
Tell us about that. What a cool show that was.
I knew it was. I knew that my track. Oh, my goodness, yes. It was wonderful. I only did 1 episode, though, and that was, Saturday BBC Studios.
But, you know, because of your Hammer pedigree, we were very excited to see you in it. No, what was
I did quite a few of the TV shows.
Wow.
You know, with the Saints and Roger Moore, which was wonderful.
Oh, that's right. You did the Saints. No.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yes, you got to work with Roger Moore. That's amazing.
Yes. Yes. They were good old days, you know, and that was wonderful.
You were bitten by Dracula. What was it like? Okay, first of all, to set the table real fast, Turner Classic Movies has been showing the best of the classic vampire movies all month.
Yes.
And they showed a beautiful letterbox version of Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. Were these, did you know this was intended, did you know that it would go on to be a cult classic, or was it just a thing you were doing at the time?
No, none of us did. Krista, we used to talk about it, and we were totally amazed, Peter and Krista, but it went on year after year, and so much later, and no, we were totally amazed. We just thought it would sink into obscurity. You know, these Hammer films had their detractors at the time. They had a lot of people that didn't give them rave reviews, but there was always a certain core few of fans that overwhelmed it, and the films were absolutely successful in spite of the critics.
One of the most...
Yeah, I know. It's a wonderful thing.
Oh, wow. Go on, Jeffrey. Jeffrey has a question.
Jeffrey Bressler speaking now.
One of the most... I don't know if anybody can hear me.
Can you hear?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, you're in good, Jeff.
It's a pleasure to meet you. One of the most interesting things about Dracula Has Risen from the Grave is something in the vampire mythos was started at that movie.
Yeah.
And that is, if you put a stake through Dracula's heart, he won't
Yeah.
die unless you pray.
That's right.
I didn't know that.
In
Yeah,
fact,
that's right.
toward the end of the movie, spoilers for those who have not seen it,
You had
both
40
of those people in the world who have
Ruined it forever.
when
didn't
he
it?
when he falls at the end onto the cross,
Yes.
the priest actually has to pray in order for him to
Yeah.
die. It's like when I first saw that on the big screen when it first came out,
Wow.
my mouth was open. He says, "You have to pray." That's something new.
It'll take forever to kill Dracula.
Yeah, but it was something that I had never heard before. You know, I heard about the running water, the garlic, and all of that. I never heard about where you have to pray in order for the effect of the steak to work. So that was
That's
new.
right. Well, but that moment, that upset Christopher, because earlier, he was stabbed through the heart in his coffin, and that made him angry. He was supposed to die then. In fact, Chris didn't want to see the movie because he said, I shouldn't have survived the stake through the heart. That should be enough, according to vampire law.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
he was a
Yes, but
stickler for detail.
Oh, he was. Oh, gosh, yes.
Now, what's interesting is the one before yours, they said on TCM, he hated the dialogue in the one before yours, so he doesn't say anything in Prince of Darkness because he thought the dialogue was stupid.
No, he said he read the script. That's right. He just said, I didn't read the script, so that was enough. He was, actually he was hoisted by his own petard. And he used to say, well, Sean Connery is James Bond, and I'm stuck as Dracula. It may have been that way. But it made his greatness. It really did cling to him like phosphorus, that role. And it made him tender in its own way. And he knew he was aware. He said that he was capable of better things. Well, of course, he went on to prove that endlessly, didn't he? We all knew he was. He was an absolute professional man. I remember sitting on the set, sitting beside him when he had these concerts, the bloody contact in, literally, I'm not swearing, the blooded ones, and he was in his cape. We were just having a normal conversation together, he and I. It was quite bizarre. But he was always professional. He was terribly uncomfortable, the contact lenses, but he never complained. He just did his role, and he was marvelous all the time. It was a very good atmosphere on the set, taken very seriously by everybody. Everyone was professional, knew their lines, and did their job. Simple as that.
Was it hard working with a Dracula who was about 1.1 taller than you?
Veronica, how tall are you?
I'm 5'6".
Oh, 5'6", and with heels,
Yes.
you could, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5-inch heel, or even 6. Oh, you could almost be a...
No, I was not wearing high heels. And
Wow, Susan Flats.
He's 6'6". He's 6'6", going up like Vincent Price was tall. But I was used to tall men. My father was a tall man. He was 6'3".
Wow.
I just think anyone under 6 feet is short. As men go.
Well, Patrick here is 6'9".
Oh wow!
This is true.
Oh, very
Veronica,
impressive.
you're working with a Dracula who is so tall. Did that make things difficult in blocking with you and him?
Not at all. No, not at all. And Chris was wonderful. And he was even off camera. If you needed an eyeline, he'd be ready to give you the eyeline. When I was thrown to the cellar floor, I heard Teddy say, "I want you to look at my right hand, darling," and he held it up beside the camera on the right. And this is the eyeline. Look at my hand, and then you've been thrown to the floor, and you're looking at Dracula. This is look at my hand. And out of the darkness, Christopher said, "I'll be her eyeline, Freddie." I didn't even know he was there. And he stood forward, and he acted as if he were in the scene with the camera on him as much as I. And that was my saving grace. Because, I never forgot it. I never forgot it.
That he came over and did your island. You know how rare that is?
Oh yeah.
Usually it's a stand, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Or
Or else it's the floor manager or the first AD who has his hand up.
But he came out and told Freddie Fields to stand down to give Veronica his eyeline. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was. He was like that. I learned years later that apparently Gregory Peck had done the same for him as an ingenue. And he'd never forgotten that. Well, I didn't know this at the time. But he was, but you see, the gentlemen I worked with, like Peter Cushing and Roger, they were all of that era, I suppose, the true gentlemen, and they were all very generous and when it came to acting with them and helpful. And Freddie Jones as well. I adored Freddie Jones. And they were wonderful men to work with. I was the luckiest girl, really. I was the lucky one.
You also worked with a convention buddy of mine.
Oh?
Yeah, David Prowse.
David Prowse! Oh,
Another tall man.
Frankenstein must be destroyed.
Man, I know. I met up with, yes, I met up with him at an English.
He was in the
Yeah.
Yes, that's what she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, how was David Prowse? Did you like David Prowse, Veronica?
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh, yeah. He was fun, too. He was so tall. But he was big and tall, not just tall. He was big and tall. And I remember I offended him because I didn't mean to. They suggested he picked me up for one of the photographs, and I said, no, you'll drop me, because I had a vision of myself being very heavy, which I wasn't. But he was insulted by that remark, and I went to apologize to him later. I said, I didn't mean to upset you.
Wow,
but,
I wonder why
he was
insulted.
very nice. Yeah, right.
Wow.
This great big bodybuilder. No.
Veronica, I wanted to ask you what your a lot of people when they were watching Star Wars and saw the regenerated Peter Cushing. How did some people got some people accepted, some people got upset, some people. It was how did that affect you when you saw that?
I decided not to watch it. I thought it was too macabre, and I remember when I was filming The Goal with Peter when he'd lost his wife. How heartbroken and lost he was. Yeah, I couldn't endure that. I couldn't bear it.
Wow, that's
I never
heartbreaking.
watched it.
I heard another British actor told me he turned to seances and everything to try and stay in contact with her.
I don't know about that, but I do know he tried to run up and down stairs until he had a heart attack. He wanted to kill himself. He became a very withdrawn man. I really think that Joyce Garden, his secretary and longtime companion throughout the years with him and his wife, enabled him to live a lot longer than he otherwise would have done, because he had no will to live. But of course, he was so popular in the TV and film community. Everybody kept him working. They were determined not to let him go, to stop this terrible slide into depression that was swallowing him up. He invited me to dinner so many times, but I was never able to go and see him again when I visited England. There was never time for me to go because I had so much problems going on here. It's one of those regrets I live with forever.
That's heartbreaking. I'm sorry to hear that.
And it's interesting because I had heard in an interview with Christopher Lee that he was one of the last people to see him alive.
Yes.
And they were the best of friends.
They were indeed, yeah.
And one of the things that they used to do, now picture this. Picture this. Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee together enjoying each other's company, doing Looney Tunes characters.
That's exactly right, they did.
They used to do that.
Monica said that's exactly right. She remembers that. Well, you remember them?
I do.
Horror icons just goofing it up with Looney Tunes. Yeah, that's amazing.
I did, yes.
As a Hammer horror heroine, Veronica, what did you need to do? What were the do's and don'ts of being a Dracula leading girl?
Well, you know, the censors were quite severe in those days. So I remember the one in Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. I wanted to die with my eyes open. And Terry Fisher said, certainly not, darling, you shall never get past the censors. Wow. I wasn't allowed to die with my eyes open.
So
but of course there was no nudity. Everything was very chaste. Peter and Chris used to say they were starring in another Michael Ripper movie because Michael Ripper was in every every movie. Wonderful character actor. It was like being with family. Every time you got onto the set of a Hammer movie, family time. It was just the happiest time.
Wow. That's hilarious. They would joke about appearing in another Michael Ripper movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, is a Horror of Frankenstein where they added the attack by Peter Cushing on you afterwards?
The Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed was the one with Peter, and then Horror of Frankenstein was the one with Ralph Bates.
That's right, that's right.
And yeah. Peter came to the set to congratulate Ralph on his set. It was lovely, and it was sad to see Peter step down as Frankenstein, because I, as a fan of Hammer, long before I ever went into the movies, when I was in college in 40, it was sad to see that, anyway, he passed the baton well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let me ask, I hear Hammer is now a bed and breakfast. Bray Studios is now a bed and breakfast. Is that true?
I did not know that.
Wow.
I thought they demolished the place. I had no idea. I know the grounds are so beautiful.
Yeah, I heard for a while it was a bed and breakfast, and I was wondering if you ever went by it after working there so many times.
No, I went to a convention there after it had been closed down as a studio. A nice convention with Caroline Monroe. Donald Tierney ran it, and I went with my older son. And my parents were invited, my sister was invited. And we had a wonderful time. Patrick Noah was there, Ida Young was there again. But I was so busy signing, I didn't see anybody because because I'd not been to England for so long. Everybody wanted me to sign things. So Caroline looked after my parents. And,
I would expect no less. That was a true fantasy watching those movies with you and her.
Veronica, I wanted to know. I know that Roger Moore had such great antics off screen.
Yes.
Backstage, off camera. Could you tell us about some of those antics?
Well, I should. Well. I know that he upset Gene Barry on one of the sets, and Gene Barry was working there. He'd go onto the set and surprise everybody, and it upset Gene Barry so much. And Gene Barry apparently had no sense of humor, and apparently he was hiding in some hay in a loft where Gene Barry was working, and jumped up and said something like boo to everybody. And the only one that didn't laugh was the star, Gene Barry, so he didn't do that again. He was always full of jokes. He would break up the set when I was when I was on the set, stayed with him when my father was being frozen as an experiment so they could bring him to life later on. Because Roger would start to sing "Freeze a Jolly Good Fellow," and of course everybody had to say, "Where's cut? Start again." But that's how he kept everyone going. That's how he kept everyone. But one lovely story, he took me to a Japanese restaurant one evening, and we were sitting, how close to the floor with a bamboo curtain, and next door a group of ladies had come in. We were aware of them, but we didn't see them, and they started talking. They didn't know Roger was the other side of the bamboo curtain, and all they could say was, "Oh, isn't Roger more gorgeous?" And I love that. And they went on and on and on, and Roger was laughing at those, and he stood up and he drew the curtain aside, and if those ladies hadn't been sitting down low to the floor, they would have fallen. Do you know, they didn't say another word all evening. They were absolutely dumbfounded. He said, "Thank you, ladies, so very much. I really appreciate all your comments, and it's very flattering." Oh, he loved it. He was the joy to be around. Everybody loved it. Yeah, everybody. He was easy to get along with.
Now, you're in an upcoming movie called House of the Gorgon. What is that about, Veronica?
Yes, that's supposed to be sometime next year. That's interesting. It'll be with Martin Beswick, Caroline Monroe, yes, and Janina Faye.
Wow.
I know. So, but what they're doing, Mark Redfield at the moment is endeavouring to get funding for it, and and Christopher Neame, who was in one of the Dracula movies, is in it too.
Wow.
So that's a huge cast as well. And that's what, Joshua Kennedy wrote it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And do you have any appearances coming up or that we can promote?
Not at the moment. I think some conventions next year, but they haven't been confirmed yet. There's another film that's supposed to be in the making, but they've had so much difficulty getting money for that, I don't even think about it at the moment. So no, in the meantime, I paint and keep my artistic side going.
Yeah, you're doing paintings now. Tell us about that.
Oh, I didn't know you were an artist.
Oh, I went to college for 4 years, got my bachelor's degree. I painted it. I did a portrait of Christopher. This is how approachable and kind he was. In the break from filming, I asked him if he would sit for a portrait, which he did.
Really?
I did it.
That's amazing. You did it the old style.
Absolutely, from life with a biro, 35 minutes, and I presented it to him.
Now, what
inevitably.
Are you doing it oil paints or acrylics or what medium are you
no,
using?
On the set I just used a black pen. But,
wow.
Here I use pastel, oil, or watercolor. I use every medium. I've had some work on the back pages of Little Shop of Horrors, and I've been able to be able to donate work to raise money for certain charities. I did a portrait of Ralph to raise money for the Pancreatic Cancer Research Fund.
Oh,
things like that. So I can give back. It's a good thing.
Wow. No, that's really sweet and impressive, you know?
Yeah, I enjoy it. That's what I love to do.
And hey, what did your kids think of your movies? When your kids see one of your old Hammer movies, what is their take on it?
Well, this is interesting. Since I lived on the island on Hilton Head since '83, they were very young. And they had a lot of friends who always came to our house. And I used to cook pancakes for their friends. Now, they're all grown up now, because they're all taller than I am. So my son, who lived next door to us at this time, put a big sheet on his garage door and played Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. I live in the cul-de-sac, and all the people came, all his friends. They had chairs out, and they all watched Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. And Adam stood, my older son, with his arm around my shoulders the entire time, watching this film.
Wow.
And all I could think of was all these now, from boys to these young men, one of them who's become a judge, all I could think of was, thank God I never did a nude scene.
Oh,
Oh, my goodness.
But you know what? You were close enough for those of us watching Sir Graves Ghastly. And what's interesting is, because Carolyn Monroe has daughters, and she told me that her daughters would watch her Adam Ant video and make fun of her clothes and glasses and makeup.
Yeah. Well, I was in a different position, really, because my father was in the Ministry of Defense.
Wow.
And, and he said, don't ever do anything to embarrass me. It'll ruin my career. So I could not have done any, had I wanted to, I wouldn't have done anything. So I was in a different position. So that's when my artwork kicked back in, and I got portraits everywhere.
It would have made Christmas dinner awkward, I'm guessing. Wow. Now, what was it like doing a scene where Dracula bites you? I mean, it's really scary on screen, but was it crazy? I mean...
Oh, it was wonderful. You know, when you join up in the film industry, you always think, I'm going to have my first screen kiss. That's going to be marvelous. And you think of some hero like Roger Moore. And then my first screen kiss was in my jugular vein. But, you know, that's right. And when Christopher had a This Is Your Life, that was the voiceover that I just said, you know, what I've just said. And the audience laughed. Vincent Price was there to say about Christopher's life. It was a wonderful evening. But, you know, when he's, to me, Dracula had to be a very attractive man. It wasn't my idea. Nosferatu wouldn't have appealed. Certainly Bela Lugosi would not have appealed. But Christopher really turned a woman on because he was so handsome. And I thought, there is the rub, right there, when a woman cannot resist and it's a beautiful man. And I just waited. I was holding my breath, literally. I mean, he was so good. It was I enjoyed that scene very much.
You're not the only one.
You're not the only one, says Jeffrey. Yeah, because I mean, you were one of the you were beautiful bombshell hammer babes. But that scene that Dracula has risen from the grave was considered the best of the Draculas, you know?
I know. That film ran away with itself. It was very successful. I'm so thrilled about that. I'm very proud of that fact.
It's like Christopher Lee could seduce women with his voice. I mean, he was so charming, right?
You should have heard his operatic voice. I mean, imagine, I couldn't wait to get to the studios with my wake up at 4 o'clock and Santa, and I'd be sitting in my dressing room, having hair and done, makeup done, and this voice would soar through the building. These glorious operatic artists. He had a magnificent operatic voice, trained opera singer. And I thought, it can't get better than this. I mean, it really can't get better than this. You know, you're being dressed and everything else and making yourself feel so beautiful. It was amazing.
One of the greatest.
And the other thing I used to love to do when I was working with Peter, he'd always had a photograph of Helen, his wife, somewhere on the set. And I'd sneak up under the set before it was all alight with activity. And I'd go around and see just where he placed the photograph of Helen for that day. And I'd always find it.
Wow.
I always found it first. It was my little feather in my cap. I found it first, Daddy. Nobody knew this silly game I played. Something I had to do.
Wow. I wonder if he had a photo of her on Star Wars. Jeffrey.
I have a question.
I bet he did.
Wow.
I bet he did.
No, Jeffrey has
I bet he did.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Jeffrey has a question for you. And by the way, in your honor, he's drinking out of an Abbey Road coffee mug.
What?
My question also is about Peter. I don't remember, but when you were working with Peter, did you do any scenes with him where he used his finger for emphasis?
Oh.
Which was something that Chris always used to rib him about.
What was that? You
Peter Cushing had this habit when he would want to emphasize a point during a speech or dialogue with another actor, he would put his index finger up as if he said, now this is a very important point, but he would point up. And in just about all of his movies, at some point, he would put his finger up, and Chris said, well, there's that finger again.
I didn't notice that. You know, I'm going to look for that now.
He doesn't
That's very interesting.
Flee in a moment of triumph?
Yeah. Well, now we can go back and watch those movies again and wait for that finger.
Yeah.
I will. Yes.
Yeah,
and that is the forefinger.
In Horror of Dracula. He's talking to Michael Goff, and he's saying something, and he says, you must follow me what I say to the letter, for if you don't, and the finger goes up.
I noticed you spoke your nation. I remember Peter when I did Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. The first day of shooting was in the cellar, and he was discussing with Terence Fisher the best way to kill me. That was sort of a nice way to start a movie. And I was sitting on the stairs, and Terry came up to Peter and said, just how do you want to kill her, Peter? And I was sitting there, they ignored me. And Peter said, well, I've been giving that a lot of thought, dear Terry. And he said, I just thought, and then he started to describe how he'd like to kill me. And of course, I kept trying to interrupt and say anything at all. I said nothing. But at the end of it, that's when I said, in desperation, may I die with my eyes open. I thought, at least I could do something to contribute to this scene that's just been written on my behalf without me being a part of it. And so I didn't have any input in that at all.
Hey, you also did a Hammer parody. What do you remember about Old Dracula with David Niven?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh golly, yes. It was. I didn't think about that like that. Yes, I suppose it was. Yes, it wasn't very good. I know. When I was introduced to David, it was unfortunate. He stood on my toe, I mean, he really stood on my toe.
Wow.
So I bent down because it hurt, and I poked him in the eye with my bath headdress. So when I stood up, he had his hand over his left eye, and I was on my toe. That's how we were introduced. I thought that was a rather unforgettable introduction.
Wow.
But yes, I had a very small role in that movie, and I think they dubbed my voice because they wanted it to be an American accent. So I didn't, I didn't pay much attention to that movie after that. But it was fun work.
Wow. And you also did The Ghoul with Peter Cushing and John Hurt. John Hurt was in that as well, right?
God. Oh, he was wonderful to work with. Wow. Oh, my God. I wished I had more scenes with him.
Wow.
He was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. And Gwen Watford, of course. And this is, of course, when Peter was breathing so much. He would just go to his dressing room. There were no more sitting alongside the set while they lit it for the next scene and chatting. He was just withdrawn. But it was lovely to work with Freddie Francis again.
Wow.
And it was a sad film, really, to work on. I have to say, I don't remember it with much enjoyment because of Peter's sadness. But I remember working with John Hurt, and goodness me, that was something. I was so lucky again. And of course, there was Alexandra Bastido and the other gentleman. It wasn't a particularly happy movie, that one wasn't. I don't recall that. I don't remember happiness in that movie at all.
I'm so sorry to hear that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's funny because I've been enjoying all your horror work because, see, as has Jeffrey and Jeffrey, we've been watching, TCM out here has been running all your Hammer stuff. Do you watch it? When you come across one of your old horror movies, Veronica, do you watch it or keep going?
Yes, no, I do. I watch it maybe with one eye open, one eye closed. I mean, there's a certain nostalgia, a lot of nostalgia in it, but you always say, oh my God, I wish I'd done that better. I wish I hadn't done that. It's the self-criticism. It's like looking at a painting long after. Why the hell did I paint that like that? Sometimes, I think all of us do that through life, so don't we? We just need to say, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done it differently. I should have put more emphasis in it. The thing that disturbed me about Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed is the fact that when we'd done 5 weeks of shooting, we only did a 6-week shoot. On the 6th week, Jimmy Clearis came in with a bunch of papers saying, there isn't enough sex in this film, and waved them up in the air. Terry Fisher was so angry. He had all the papers, he looked at them and then threw them down on the floor and ran out, and he went out through the doors, and Peter and I were left totally perplexed. And of course, the character of Frankenstein, this is so not the character of the man called Dr. Frankenstein, who was totally asexual, not interested in women, just interested in creating life. Totally on it, and it was just horrible. Peter hated it. Anyway, Roger heard about the upset on set and came to comfort us all. Roger Moore, he was wonderful, that's the way he was. Wow. Anyway, it's just one of those things. It was a sad thing, and it was unnecessary, but that's when the sex things started to come in, nudity started to come in. They wanted to strip me from chest to my pubic bone, totally naked. And I wasn't going to have that. Peter just threw himself over me and wouldn't let that happen.
Is that the one where they shot, they added a rape scene, but it was never mentioned again? That's the craziest thing.
That's absolutely stupid. Yes, it was. I knew.
Nobody ever mentions it again in the movie. I mean, they added that in the first week of shooting. Wow.
Horrible. Yeah. Well, my reaction would not have been the same. Had that happened to me, I would have been a different person. Yeah. And I knew that therefore my performance would have seemed weak, and I did not want to go to the premiere. I was in Rome making a film called Pussycat, I Love You. And I said, I'm not coming back. My mother called me. She's got to come back to the premiere. I said, I'm not coming back. She said, you've got to come back.
Oh, you skipped the premiere?
I just thought everyone would laugh at my performance. Anyway, I did. That's when I met Helen, his wife. So that was a good thing.
Wow.
She was lovely.
Yeah, because when you watch the movie, it makes no sense. He suddenly
it makes no sense at all.
The two of you never mentioned it again in the movie.
That's when Yeah, that's when the sex thing started to come in, all the bare heaving bosoms and all of that kind of thing. And that's what I wasn't interested in. So I did not want to be a part of that. Because it was, it just seemed like if you didn't do that, you weren't any good as an actress. And I thought that's ridiculous. And I walked away. And it's sad because I didn't want to walk away because I was getting somewhere and I didn't want to not get somewhere.
Right.
Anyway.
But you can't, I mean, you gotta stand by your guns. What's interesting is every British Frankenstein movie is about the doctor. Every American Frankenstein movie is about the monster.
That's true. That's absolutely right. I'd not thought of it like that. It's true, what you just said.
Wow. But that, to me, it's amazing. You've had such an illustrious career, but your horror stuff, besides Pussycat, I Love You, I love that you're in the original Casino Royale. It's a bit.
Oh, no, I was not. No, everyone thinks so, but I was not. I was working on another movie altogether at that time.
You're credited with it.
I was at the studio.
Wow.
I know.
And the other thing, Veronica, what's the favorite of your own work? If you could watch one of your movies, what would it be?
It would be Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, I think.
Despite that,
although I have to say, I did watch Dracula's Risen. In fact, I was invited up to the University of Augusta, Georgia, to talk about the film. They were showing it to their club there, the film club they have, and they invited me to go there, and they were showing on the big screen the Dracula's Risen, and I hadn't seen it for so long on the big screen. There were certain scenes that were missing from it, I must say. But the reception was so lovely, and it was so different to see it. So I was nervous about the reaction of the audience, but they were so welcoming and so kind. It was amazing. The interest in it is fantastic. It's wonderful.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear that, actually. Now, Jeffrey and Jeffrey, you guys have any questions for our esteemed and stunning guest? It's funny because everyone's mentioning
Jeffrey and Jeffrey are overwhelmed.
That we are even enraptured in listening.
I can listen to her voice all day, you guys.
To you right now.
Wow.
We are just in awe. We are having the best Halloween party right now.
We've got Veronica Carlson on a morning show on Halloween. How cool is that?
Yes, you really made our morning. I mean, I don't even need any more coffee to wake me up.
Yeah, no. You've got that wonderful... I could listen to a beautiful British woman say literally all day long. Could you say garage? We want to amuse our listeners. Say garage.
Oh, this is a lovely way to start a day.
Could you say the word garage for us? Listen to how British people say garage.
Oh, God. No, I do say garage.
Okay, you don't say garage?
Yes. I have a garage that has everything in it for the car. Well, I have. Yes. How many times do you want me to say garage? Well, how do you say it?
No, garage, but I wrote for a magazine out of Putney, and they used to call it garage.
Of course. Yes,
about the word
yes, they do say
laboratory. We say laboratory. Yes. British say laboratory.
Laboratory. No, they don't say that. They say laboratory. They don't say laboratory. It's laboratory. People shorten that last syllable, and then you've got to get it right.
God. Now, are you going to write a book? Have you written a book yet?
No, and I keep being asked about that, but I don't think I want to write about it.
It's time for you to write a book.
Now, Veronica, when I visit my mother in North Carolina in Tryon. When I come, I'll have to visit and give you one of my mom's paintings. She's very popular. She's one of the top equine artists in the country, and her work
I'd love to see that. I paint horses also. Oh, I'd love to see her work. I mean, seriously.
I will hook you up with her number, and she gives out lessons and everything. She's done them for very famous people. In England, in Europe, as well as the United States. Her name is Joan Elizabeth McIntyre. She's quite
Joan Elizabeth. What a wonderful name.
Not as lovable as
Veronica. Is it McIntyre?
I would love to give you some of her lithograph prints.
Oh gosh, yeah, I have G-clay. I do G-clay. Oh, go on. Yes.
And
Go on, talk to me.
where can we see your artwork, by the way? Where can one see the Veronica Carlson collection?
Well, all my prints here, I take them to conventions. I have some ladies are making up some more prints of my work, and I haven't put them out anywhere yet except for conventions. And every piece I do is usually privately commissioned work, which goes straight to the person. So I never have anything to put in the gallery, and haven't done that for a long time.
Well, this will be great. I'll hook you up with my mom, and maybe you two could just do some art shows and galleries together.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to see her work, especially on horses, because I love horses.
And by the way, you mentioned you're in Hilton Head, North Carolina?
Yes, we used to live on the island. Now we live in Bluffton, which is just off the bridge, because it's less crowded. Well, it was a few years ago. It's getting crowded now, because it's such a lovely place to be. Yes, Bluffton is a lovely area.
I only know one more actress in the area. Do you know Simone Griffith?
No, where does she live?
She lives in Hilton Head. You know, she was an American actress who's out there now. It's interesting. It's interesting with the De Laurentiis studio nearby and everything. Have you been tempted to do stuff? Have you been tempted to act again a little bit more? You know?
Oh yes, when I lived on the island, an author called John Jakes. He wrote North and South.
Yes.
Very famous author. We had Reader's Theatre. And I was always part of that. I love to read, and we have Reader's Theatre and enjoy ourselves immensely. Yes, I was part of the art scene and everything when I was on the island.
Well, listen, lady, we've enjoyed you immensely. Thank you so very, very much. You've made this the best Halloween in years for the four of us, including Dan the Man.
Oh my God.
And if I wind up doing a convention, and if you're there, I will come up to you and say hello.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. I've done portraits of Peter and Christopher, Michael Ripper.
Wow. And you said you drew Ralph. You did one of Ralph Bates as well, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, it was on the back page of one of the magazines also. But that's the one that was sold to raise money for the Pancreatic Cancer Research Fund. And it raised, $1,000, and I was so happy about that.
Wow!
I love to. It sounds like you're having a party. I wish I was at.
Wow!
You shouldn't be enjoying yourself so much. You should be. I should be there with you.
We wish you were here too. But we
I do too.
I want to tell you, I'm also a sculptor, and I do work for Disney and Universal.
Oh boy!
I did a horse head sculpture for tack, for you could hang your halters and bridles for your horses. I'm going to paint one.
Oh.
Do you own any horses?
No, my daughter has 3.
Oh wow!
Oh my goodness!
I would like to send you a pair of horse head tack holders.
Oh my
along with some
God,
posters. So I'll talk to you later on today, and I'll send those out to you.
Oh please, we'll exchange addresses, and I can send you a couple of prints if you don't mind.
Oh, I would love that. Patrick, Jeff, and myself would love to have an autographed picture.
Hell yeah!
I'll send that as well. Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, and producer Dan too. Sorry, Dan.
We're still in love with you, Veronica. Thank you for justifying that.
Thank you. Oh, bless you. Made my day.
I really want to thank Steve Joyner for introducing us.
Yes, we're kneeling towards your phone.
Steve Joyner is a great guy. He's a wonderful friend, and I couldn't thank him anymore.
He's a great liaison officer, isn't he? He's wonderful. A very kind, sensitive man. Oh, this is lovely. Please let me exchange your addresses with me. I'd be so proud to keep in touch with you all.
Okay. I'll get in touch with you after the show.
I look forward to it. I'll be waiting for you. Thank you for talking to me, and a very happy Halloween to you all.
Happy Halloween. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much for talking to us. You made our morning. There's 4 full-grown men floating here, woman.
You made my day. You made my day.
You made ours, baby. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye for now, everybody.
Okay, goodbye.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye. You bet. Bye-bye.
Oh my God.
That was awesome, you guys.
Wow, wow,
Hey,
wow. We talked
John,
about
John Lawson, say hi to John Lawson.
Hey, John Lawson.
Robert Craighead.
Robert Craighead.
Robert Craighead is watching. He's going to be our guest for Thursday.
The always adorable Veronica Carlson, man. I'm so stoked.
We talked
to Veronica Carlson at Halloween. Let that soak in for a minute. Thanks, Goddess. We had a great time with you. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Oh, boy.
Wow, we talked to Veronica Carlson. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Can't get any better.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Her stories were great, too.
Oh, yeah.
Great question.
But now we're all going to rewatch Peter Cushing movies just
For
to
the
see
finger in the air.
Just to see the finger. I guarantee
That should be a drinking game.
No,
actually.
he does that in Star Wars. Flee in a moment of triumph.
Yes.
And nobody even, they don't say cut, put your finger down. They just
it's
let
his
him roll
thing.
with
It's his thing. It's his thing. Well, you don't do
And
that.
Chris would always, when they were doing the Hammer movies, Chris would always be on the side like, there goes the finger.
There goes the finger.
That is so funny. Busting his shit while he's doing it. You know? Wow, wow, wow. We're back in the Jeffrey Bressauer business.
Where were we, Jeffrey? Where were we?
Jeffrey was about to go into Superboy. We talked about Superman.
To follow.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Unfortunately, you don't have impressive cleavage and blue
No,
eyes.
and she's still a lot prettier than I am.
I think she's, she classed us up, boys. Jeffrey, tell us about your 2 roles in Superboy, including Marine and the other one.
Now, Jeffrey, we both have a friend.
We just have to
on the
question.
Superboy.
Yes.
I seen
Talk.
pictures of you at the Superman Museum. Jim Hambrick.
Oh,
the
yeah.
curator. Now, I was friends
He
with
put him up?
I
saw them on the wall.
I saw them on the wall in the '90s. I used to work for. I used to sell him props and things, and I just thought this was all pipe dream and everything. I thought it's like, oh, I'm going to have a Superman museum in Metropolis, Illinois, and it's just like this little one-horse town, man. And then the next thing I know, I'm going, oh my God, he did it. He's got a statue in the middle.
15-foot bronze statue. Yeah.
Oh my God! And I was so impressed. I'm all right, Jim. That is so cool.
And June of 2010, there was it 2010? I think so. When they unveiled the statue of Noel Neal as Lois Lane.
Wow! Do you have any idea who the artist was?
I can't remember the name, but I got his autograph.
I didn't know about this because I'd like to know because being a sculptor myself,
it's about a 6.5 foot. It's online. You can see it online.
Oh, okay.
But it's about a 6.5 foot bronze statue of Noel as Lois Lane, and it's about 2 blocks away from the 15-foot Superman statue.
Wow. Yeah. So now they filmed that Superboy series. That was all in Universal,
Except
Florida.
for season 1.
Except for season 1. What was that film?
That was Disney MGM Studios at that time.
Wow.
Okay. What was that? Okay, your character, you were a villain, weren't you?
I had several.
You had several roles in that. Right?
Yeah, I had. I guess you might say I had a bit of an angel backing me as far as being in Superboy. One of the directors / cinematographers, a guy by the name of John Hunnick. I don't know what happened to him lately, but I haven't heard from him in ages. But he wanted to use me in some way, shape, or form. I think he saw me doing some sort of a stage work, and he wanted to use me in the show. But the first thing that I wound up doing, with any note, was I did voiceover work. Now, for season 2, I did some generic voiceover work, ADR, and background noises and oohs and ahs and that sort of thing.
Oh, you did looping on Superboy?
Yeah. There was one episode, and it was Mr. and Mrs. Superboy.
Oh.
And there was a scene with Michael J. Pollard as Mr. Mixes-Pidlick.
Yeah, by the way,
I can never
pronounce
pronounce
getting the
that.
name correctly. You had to do
Mixoplectic.
Mixes-Pidlick.
Mixes-Pidlick.
And
say it backwards, and Jeffrey goes back to the fifth dimension.
Yeah, that's right. He was battling another imp from the fifth dimension. The only thing is, this imp was Richard Keel. Jaws from the James Bond movie.
Who his sister used to live in Claremont, about 2 miles that away.
Yeah, yeah. And I met Richard later on. Lovely guy. You know, we were talking with Veronica Carlson about Jaws, about Roger Moore. Jaws, Richard Keel was his Bond villain.
Yes, and he was so popular. He was one of the only
yeah.
Bond villains not killed.
Right, right. And anyway, in the Superboy episode, Mr. and Mrs. Superboy, there's one scene where the two imps are battling it out, and all of a sudden, they're blocking traffic, and this heavy-set guy with a little red baseball cap comes up to Richard Keel, and he starts poking him. And Richard Keel goes to him, and you are a big tomato. And all of a sudden, magically, the heavyset guy turns into a big tomato with a little red baseball cap on him. Richard Keel then proceeds to pick the tomato up and hurl it. Now, you see where the tomato starts to go, and there is this car without a top, and there is this couple. Now, the tomato hits the car, and all of a sudden you see the front of the car, which is completely covered in tomato, with the windshield wipers going. Oh. Now, they shot the scene already, but they needed to loop the voices.
Of the couple in the car.
Yeah. So they hired me. And I wound up ad-libbing, actually, because the tomato is coming toward the car, and I'm going, oh, you know, like the husband who's driving. And the tomato goes splat, and all of a sudden you see the car covered in tomato with the windshield wiper going, and I just ad-libbed into the microphone, you had to tell me to get a convertible. And the engineer cracked up. So he says, do that one more time. So they brought it back, and I did it again. And if you listen, if you see the episode, you have to listen. They toned that down a bit, but you can hear me say, you had to tell me to get a convertible. You know, it was hysterical, but there was that, and basically ADR work, basically looping. Season 3, I did Wish for Armageddon, where I'm a Marine colonel who comes in at the last end of a scene where the President of the United States is talking with Superboy. The President of the United States was played by Peter Palmer.
Wow. He was on Lost in Space and everything
Lil
else.
Abner.
Yes, the original Little Abner.
Lil Abner.
Julie Newmar.
Yeah, the musical.
Wow.
Yeah. And I tell you, it was really weird because Peter is a good-looking guy. Big, with, at that time, with the hair, the combed perfectly hair. To see the President of the United States looking like that, shaking hands with Superboy, he looked, at that time, I'm thinking about the timeline, you know? If Superboy grows up to be Superman, Superboy looked like he was shaking hands with Jack Kennedy.
Oh, wow.
That's how much he looked like him.
Wow.
Well, I came in and I said, Mr. President, the cabinet is waiting for you, or you're waiting for this meeting for you, whatever the line was. So we shot the scene, and I look at the episode, and right after he shakes hands with Superboy, they cut to another scene. So my end of the scene was sliced out.
Oh, no.
So it's like, oh, well.
Wow.
Fade out, fade in. At that time, if you were a character on the Adventures of Superboy, And if they could see your face, that was it. You either came back as the same character or you did not come back at all.
Wow.
It wasn't like the old Adventures of Superman.
Where you had Herb Vigran as the
Herb
bad guy.
Vigran was 5 different villains. Ben Weldon and Billy
I was
Nelson.
so sick of Ben Weldon and Vigran. I guess even Batman would change the villains.
Yeah, but you would think that week after week that George Reeves and Noel Neill would recognize these guys.
The same a-hole from last week, yeah.
But they always played different villains.
Okay, you know what? I entered the conversation a little bit late. I had to go change and take my makeup off.
How dare you?
It bothers me. And taking off that wrap that I had on my head, I think I just got my hair cut for free. But you're talking about tomatoes. Are you familiar with the film Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
Oh, no.
Who isn't?
I haven't seen that film in ages.
I haven't seen it since it was out on VHS.
We will come back to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Our guest was about to enlighten us about Superboy.
Okay, Superboy. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I entered the conversation
You
late.
just
I'm
derailed
sorry.
the train, engineer.
You burglarized! You burglarized!
Passengers.
Right in the climax of
The
something
man
from
was
Superboy.
chugging uphill with a great story, and you derailed the train.
Derailing the train.
Thank God we weren't carrying poison gas, Dan the man. No, our boy here was telling us about doing...
So he's doing multiple characters on this series.
And improvising.
And nobody's recognizing who he really
somebody
is.
cut you so they could use you, right? Somebody was you had an angel in production. Go on.
John Hunnick, I guess, still wanted to use me, but whoever my angel was, I was called back for season 4, and the name of the episode is Paranoia. I said, okay. And here are your lines, and we'll see you on the set. Okay. So I get to the trailer, I get to wardrobe, get to makeup, and I'm looking at the lines, and I always collect the cast sheet, the call sheet that says who's in it, what the scenes were. You know,
I do that sometimes too. I usually do it.
Yeah.
I save mine from commercials mostly. You know what I mean?
But I keep them as memorabilia. You know,
Yeah,
when they're
smart.
mine.
My brother John does that too.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the cast list. I'm saying, well, let's see who's in the episode. And I'm going, there I am, and let's see, and it's Noel Neill and Jack Larson.
And this is before you went to set. This is you just.
Yeah, I was in the trailer, and I'm saying Noel Neill and Jack Larson.
Wow.
Well, I picked my jaw up from the ground, and I said, somebody up there likes me.
Wow.
Because if they showed me as the Marine Colonel, I would not be on the episode.
You would have been bounced, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, when a door closes, another door opens, and sometimes it's even better.
And you were credited as Marine Colonel in that episode, so you still got residuals, right?
I did. I've been getting residuals.
Right here.
Mostly, I've been getting foreign residuals for it.
Yeah, it's huge overseas. I don't know why. You know what I mean? No, let me ask you. So in Paranoia, did you have a lot to do with Noel and Jack?
I actually had a little bit more to do with Jack in that while I am a security guard, one of the people who's taking over the Bureau for Paranormal Activities, Jack steals my gun. So I'm there in the scene with Jack. So
wow.
And I was there with Noel too.
Jimmy Olsen lifts your piece.
Yeah. And it's funny because Jack was wearing a bow tie, a sweater vest, and a jacket.
You got it. That's a dead giveaway.
They put him in the outfit.
And at one point, he actually says, well, you know, I used to take paper clips and pencils and supplies from when I worked at the paper. It was like, okay.
Wow.
And in fact, there is one scene where this one woman who worked at the Bureau jumps out the window. Superboy saves her. When he brings her back up, Jack moves backward, startled, and he goes, "Jeepers!" So,
wow.
I mean, it was such an honor. You know, it
You're
was
working
all
with Superman
honoring.
royalty, yeah.
Yeah, but the best part of that whole shoot for me was being in the waiting room with Jack and Noel.
Wow.
Because we would wait for the setup to be for us. Jack and Noel and I would be talking, and one of the funniest things that happened was Jack looked at Noel. Now, Jack looks at Noel and he says, "Noel, have I changed over the years?"
Oh, no way.
And Noel, classic Noel, she rolls her eyes. She looks at him and she says, "Jack, you're wearing the same sweater vest and bow tie you did 40 years ago. You haven't changed a bit."
Oh no.
Oh,
But
my
Jack,
God.
me being such a huge fan of the Adventures of Superman. In fact, I'm part of the Super Friends. You know, we all
That's right.
just everything reminds us of Superman.
Yeah.
But I would talk to Jack about Ben Weldon, about
Wow. Herb
John-
Vigran.
Herb Vigran, Billy Nelson, and
Billy Curtis.
Billy
The little
Curtis,
guy.
Mr. Zero.
Yes,
And,
wow. You're scaring me,
and
Jeffrey.
Super Pup.
Oh my God,
He
you
was
remember
Super Pup,
Superman?
yeah.
Yes.
But I also was talking to him about John Kellogg. You remember John Kellogg?
I do.
John Kellogg was, what a great actor he was, and also very underrated. He played Major Cobb in the movie 12 O'Clock High with Gregory Peck and Dean Jagger. He was in Violets Are Blue. He played Sissy Spacek's father.
Wow, that's a long career.
Tons of, in the Lone Ranger TV series, he was the convict that returned. Return of the Convict was the name of the episode.
You never get a returning bad guy in Lone Ranger because he'd always
He
straighten them out in the end of the
but
episode.
He almost always played a bad guy. He was in Rancho Notorious with George Reeves and Marlene Dietrich.
That's right.
But what was so interesting is, see, when I was taking acting classes in New York, at the very beginning of my career, I took my classes at HB Studios, 120 Bank Street in the Village. And one of the young people I met there, my fellow classmate, was a woman named Sharon. Young lady, cute as a button, absolutely adored her. She, one day she said to me, "Oh, my father's going to be in a play. Would you be interested in seeing it? Bring your parents." And I said, "Well, okay." And I figured, that would be nice, seeing her father in a play, community theater.
Oh no, John Kellogg's her father.
Yeah.
That was it, right? John?
Yeah.
Wow, because Sharon Kellogg was an actress as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
But at that time, it's like Sharon Kellogg. Yeah. Who knew? So my parents, we decided to go see the play.
Oh, thank
So
God.
they came into the city. We were from Long Island.
Or Long Island.
Long Island, yes.
Long Island.
Long Island.
Yeah.
Want some
Super.
coffee? Can we talk? Yeah.
Wow.
So the play was called Memphis is Gone. And it was at a place called St. Clement's Church.
Wow.
It was a refurbished church. And it wasn't in the greatest area of Manhattan. And my mother is looking around and she's saying,
Where's Charles Bronson when you really need him?
like this area, what's going on here? So finally, we're getting ready to go in, and there is a card with all of the headshots. Well, it was a two-character play, so both of the characters. Kevin J. O'Connor was the other guy, but all of a
The
sudden...
young Kevin J. O'Connor?
Yeah.
I know him from Chicago. Great guy.
Yeah.
He's out here now.
And the other one was John Kellogg. And my
This
mother...
play starred Kevin from
Yeah.
The Mummy? Wow.
So my mother is looking at the picture of John, and she says, "Oh, my God." And I say, "What?" She says, "Jeff, do you know who that is? He was in Johnny O'Clock with Dick Powell."
I love Johnny O'Clock. They run it on 13.3.
Yeah. My mother was better than me when it came to movies.
Wow.
But
You're You're scaring me.
But whenever she would tell the story, she would say, all of a sudden, the St. Clement's Church had this nice charm to it. It looked great.
She's no longer in a Death Wish movie.
Right. No longer is she worried about the end. All of a sudden, it became class. So, yeah. So we went to see it, and of course, John and Kevin were both brilliant.
What was this play called? Because I'm going to bust Kevin's balls about this later.
Memphis is Gone.
Memphis is Gone. Wow. And he did with
Kevin J. O'Connor. I'm sure that's the other.
No. If it's our Kevin, then I will mention it to him.
Yeah. See if that's the same person.
It has to be. He went on to do The Mummy and a bunch of other stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, he did Alan Rudolph and all that. No. Did you talk to John Kellogg?
Yeah.
You must have blown Sharon's mind.
I wound up. It's funny because Sharon and I had dated, and
you're gonna start dating her again when you find out who her father was.
Well, I was already dating her. It was a beginning of our relationship, and it was more of a friendship.
It was a test, though. Yeah. It was a test to see if you would go see her dad's play.
But afterward, I would go to. I would take Sharon out. I would go up to see John, and Sharon would be there. And I wound up talking to John until like 3 o'clock in the morning. Sharon had long since, well, I'm going to bed, and she went to sleep. And I would be up talking to John
instead of following his daughter
in the morning about acting.
Wow!
And it was amazing because he has seen and been involved with so many
big and small productions.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And he was a person who was typed. He was typed usually as a gangster or as a military person or as an authority figure. And he pretty much wound up staying in that area. I mean, he played Lucky, a thug in The Untouchables.
Wow.
With Patricia Neal.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And, that's basically what he was relegated to.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? I mean, they all thought television was slumming. And that's how you'd fall in love with some character actor. Good old Whit Bissell would make them rounds. I was friends with Whit Bissell in college. He was in the Mopic home by then and chain smoking generic cigarettes. But I interviewed him because I was starting to write for the magazines. Mm-hmm. And you would go and Whit Bissell would tell you stories. There was an old lady who wanted to join us for lunch.
Yeah.
And and it turned out she kept asking to come with us, and they kept blowing her off. And it turned out to be May, what's her name, from Public Enemy.
May Clark?
May Clark and Frankenstein. She kept calling, and this is the 90s. She kept calling, wanting to join us, and Whit goes, "No, get your own company." And then I look up and then when I saw May Clark on some an AMC movie at the time, it's like, oh no.
Wow.
He was blowing off the chick from Frankenstein and Public Enemy.
She's the one who Cagney would say she got the citrus treatment.
Exactly. We got a phone call.
Oh, it says phone call in the window.
Is it from Florida? Let's hear.
Who do we got?
Mystery caller, speak to us.
Yeah, hi. I like your kids. The thing about it is I guess this isn't the place I order a pizza.
Tragically, you do not order a pizza here at Chaotic Pizza.
Yeah.
We're actually...
Is Frank still alive?
Is who still alive? Is who still alive?
Frank Oz is still alive.
Yes. Frank Oz is still alive. Oh yes. This is Jeffrey Berslauer, Henson Puppeteer. Ask him anything.
Yeah. So what happened to the studio? What happened to the Henson studio?
Oh, it was bought and is run by Disney.
Doesn't Disney own enough?
They do now.
Trust me, Disney never owns enough. And if you go
they are a world superpower now.
The Henson people, here's an interesting thing. The Henson people bought the old Charlie Chaplin studio off of Sunset. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff. And they have a statue on top of the sign of Kermit the Frog dressed as Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, wow.
It's on
You know,
Sunset.
yeah, it is on Sunset. Right next to one of the better Ross's Dress for Less in the downtown area. I mean, if I have an audition or something, I usually go over there and buy. I like to do interviews at that Starbucks, and there's always cheap shoes in my size at the Ross is there.
That's where they filmed the Aerosmith "Living on the Edge" video too. Most people don't realize that.
I did not realize that either. Holy shizen! Wow!
Yeah, they had the whole bay door open to the street, and they had all the sheet metal flopping around from the side of the street.
Really? I did not know that. Wow!
It was right after the LA riots.
A bad time for all concerned, the LA riots.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from LA.
Oh, you're in Illinois.
Illinois or LA?
LA.
LA.
Oh, in LA.
Yeah, he's from LA.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, what's your name, mystery caller?
Bubba.
Hi, Bubba. Do you have a question for the Jolt and Jeffrey Breslauer?
Yeah. Do you know anything about the Phenomena? What's that name?
I know. I only know that song preceded the Muppets using it.
Really?
That was a dark show with what show was that? That guy started with CTW, right?
That was Children's Television Workshop. Yeah,
Right.
Sesame Street. Yeah.
My nephew, my 7-year-old nephew, recently told me Cookie Monster doesn't eat cookies; he eats salad. I'm like, no, he eats cookies. It's in his name, but they're trying to PC up the Cookie Monster.
The cookies are now green. I think.
Oh, screw that!
Oh God, they've gone green. It's all good
Remember
for you
as a child watching him mash all this Manila wafers?
Now the cookies are made with kale. Right?
Yeah.
It's good for you.
I do like kale.
One of my favorite bits on Sesame Street with Cookie Monster has always been when he is the host, and all of a sudden he says, "Good evening. I am Alistair Cookie. Welcome to Monster Piece Theater."
Oh, that's right. I always loved Cookie Monster because he was all id. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instant gratification. And Jeffrey, and Bubba, Jeffrey here, you were also in, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm running this. You were in Tom Hanks from Earth to the Moon. Tell us about that.
Yes,
Sean, Florida.
Yes. I was in one episode.
You're a technician.
Yeah, I was the...
I recognized you from Superboy.
Yeah. The technician for Apollo 12. And it was... I got to work with Dave Foley in that one.
Oh, from Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall.
That guy's
from
hilarious.
News
man.
Radio.
Wow.
Great guy.
I met him in LAX once, and it was when the only thing he was known for at the time was Kids in the Hall. I was dropping my friend Maureen and my goddaughter Tara off. And I knew it was him, and I did the nod, and he did the nod back, yes, you're right, it's me, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody would know him for anything.
I'm surprised you didn't do the I'm crushing your head.
But he was so excited, and he patted me on the arm, and he goes, yes, you're right, Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He was a lot of fun to work with. Me, it was one of the nice things about it was I got to meet the astronaut who was the first person to ride a dune buggy on the moon.
Really? Which one was that?
Dune buggy, yeah. Dave Scott.
Wow, because I went to Gus Grissom Junior High, but he melted on the launch pad.
Yeah, Apollo 1.
It was a metaphor for my junior high.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So what did you ask Dave Scott once you're talking to an honest-to-God astronaut?
That's amazing to meet a real astronaut.
Yeah,
a guy who's been on the moon, you know?
Yeah, I basically just talked to him, first of all, about asking what the hell my lines meant. Because everything was very technical. And a lot of it, sometimes lines like that, it's hard to get a grasp on what you're talking about when you don't know what you're talking about. But the scene worked out, and it was all well done, and the director was a guy named John Turteltaub.
Oh, wow. Fried Green Tomatoes.
Right, and what was it, Instinct?
And Personal, the one with Robert Redford. The Robert Redford, Michelle Pfeiffer one. There's a great book on it called Monster, where the writers write about working with Turteltaub on this and watching their script get destroyed.
Yeah.
It became Personal Best or something. They changed the title. But the book Monster is a very funny... Garson, it's a very funny account of the writers and how their script was changed. How was Turteltaub? Did you like him?
It was okay. I had... I didn't have too much contact with him. My character was basically ancillary.
No small parts, Jeffrey.
Right, yeah. Well, it was more exposition. My basic part in that show was to tell Dave Foley, or to tell Al Bean, who was Dave Foley's character, not to point the camera at the sun.
Really? Because it would burn out the lens, right?
Right. Does he listen? No.
Oh, man.
And did you ask Scott where he faked the moon landing?
Yeah, right. It would have to be Universal. Galaxy Pictures.
Oh, we still got our call.
Hey, Bubba. Here we go.
Hey,
Yo.
Bubba, what's up?
Hey.
Any more questions, Bubba?
Got any more questions for our esteemed guest?
Yeah. When you look back on kids programming and CTW and Fred Rogers and stuff like that, it's like, how difficult is it today to break a small production? Because back then it was like, Fred Rogers did his own thing, he did his own music, and so did Henson. Could another Henson come up today? I don't know. Is it possible?
Come up today?
It's possible, yeah. The thing is, the world is a lot different than it was back then during early Jim Henson and Fred Rogers. You could see on YouTube where Fred Rogers is trying to get funding for his show, for Fred Rogers' Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Wow.
And he had to go before the committee.
Oh, I saw that video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he talks about, he does the lyrics to one of the songs, and
Really?
yeah. And, it's, we're at a different place in our way of thinking these days than it was back then, because back then, first of all, the world was much more innocent.
Yeah, I can see that.
And there was much more of a need for children's programming. Now, children's programming would be considered adult programming back then.
Wow.
We are not the innocent civilization that we used to be.
I would argue against that, because look at how many grown-ups like me are on welfare. We need simpler programming. What do you think?
Nowadays, well, you see, with people who are able to take an iPhone or any cell phone with a camera, and they could do their own production and put it right there on the internet, which you couldn't do back then. Now anybody can do anything. So as far as simple children's programming, yeah, sure. If you have a cell phone and access to the internet, you can have that kind of programming. Absolutely. And it won't cost you hardly anything.
But the quality of the writing isn't there, man.
No. Not nowadays. You see some cameras on cell phones. There were a number of movies that were made just recently on cell phones.
Oh, my God.
And they won awards at film festivals.
Wow.
So the quality has gotten so much better. You can do that, especially on the internet.
He's expiring on the phone.
So you're saying I can get an Academy Award if I join your staff?
It's possible because of the quality of the phone cameras nowadays. If you have a script, a set, or a location, and if you have something to say, and if you're passionate about it, and if you have someone who can film it, you could put it on the internet, and you don't know where it's going to lead. It could lead to great things.
I wouldn't necessarily call guys with a green screen like Felix Shelborg no great things.
Well, of course, it all depends on content. It depends on content.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, Paranormal Activity was shot with what? It was shot with a little red camera they returned after shooting it.
Sure.
That's a $1,500 movie you're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, and also, even sort of back then, you had this young kid, Robert Rodriguez,
Oh, yeah?
who makes this movie, El Mariachi.
Yes.
He
All
maxed out
Spanish. Spanish language.
and he maxed out a couple of credit cards.
Volunteered
He
as
had
a
his-
test rat.
He had his friends in the movie, and all of a sudden it wound up in Quentin Tarantino's hands. That now became Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yep.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now he's a big thing.
From Dust Till Dawn. You know?
Yeah,
Spy Kids.
of course. So, Grindhouse movies.
Grindhouse.
So, it's a matter of content. It's a matter of content and passion.
Wow. And what
Because
you're willing to
nowadays
do.
the equipment is easy to come by.
Well, what about people that can't necessarily check out a red camera from YTSLA?
Well, but you know what? If you want to do it, you'll find a way. You know what I mean? I mean, everyone finds a way, and if you want to shoot something, it's never been easier to make a movie.
Yeah.
You know? You can make a movie on your phone, as we're discussing here.
Yeah.
But, Bubba, thank you for your questions.
Well, all right.
Good talking to you, Bob.
Happy Halloween. Have a good one.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you, sir. And say goodbye to Jeffrey. There we go. And bam, we're back to our humble guest of honor. So, Jeffrey, give us your origin story. Where are you from? You're from Florida originally?
No, I was
Listen to his accent. He's from New York.
born in the Bronx.
Wow. Birthplace of Lou
That's a
Ferrigno.
tough neighborhood.
And raised in Levittown, Long Island.
Levittown, Long Island.
Long Island. My mother used to talk like Joan Rivers.
Just like fake working class
my
hero
God.
Bill
You want
O'Reilly.
some coffee? Can we talk?
Wow.
Yeah, that
Whole
reminds
thing,
me
yeah.
of Martin Short doing Joan Rivers from Ed
Uh-huh.
Brimley.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to be happy until you've talked about Police Academy 5.
Oh gosh, he was the reporter.
Reporter,
The
yes.
news reporter, yeah.
Oh my.
That,
Everyone-
I always like to say that is the movie where I broke the sound barrier. I
Tell us.
actually had lines.
Wow.
You,
Finally.
I mean,
On camera.
You're so good with voices and characters, and you must have bonded with Michael Winslow. right
Yes, and
away.
we're friends now. He's now in California. He used to live in Florida.
I helped him save mankind in the eternal classic La Valantula.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my friend put me in it because it looked like a grip. That was his line. But
He's amazing.
he was doing camera sounds, he was doing trucks, and crew guys who've been on hundreds of sets are jumping because they think they're about to be hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Hey, did the truck back it up, or did
Yeah.
Well, when we did Police Academy 5, we shot the scene that I was in at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach.
Wow.
And it was great. We were at the Police Academy convention, and they all were there. And never in my life have I met such wonderful people. Bubba Smith,
Great guy. I
great
actually,
guy.
the
David
last game I
Graff.
saw in Michigan,
Yeah,
he was planning at the Pontiac Silverdome right before we moved.
really.
So to see Bubba actually kicking ass on the football field,
Oh,
very
what
exciting.
what a sweet guy.
Extremely.
And David Graff.
God
Loved
bless him.
David.
He's gone now, but
Yeah.
you know what?
Bubba.
Because it was they wanted they want big guys. It's every type, every age.
Oh, yeah.
I met him on Big Guy editions. He was always a prince.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
as-
Leslie Easterbrook and Marion Ramsey. And
Oh, Marion Sweet,
Lance
you know.
Kinsey.
Leslie's adorable.
And G.W. Bailey.
Oh, wow.
They were all absolutely wonderful. And
As always, when we have a great guest, we tend to run over. So it's past 9 o'clock. It's 10 after. So we're gonna have to.
Can we go till 9:30?
Yeah, we could go to 9:30.
Yeah, let's. Cause we're not done yet. I mean, we got.
Let's ask it.
It's Halloween. Give us a break, man. When my mixer board ain't working for me.
No, we had technical issues taking off. So due to technical issues,
I got that
stay
coming.
on the air. Okay. I
Yeah,
just
do
wanna
not let them F with us.
I want to make you sure you're okay and you don't have anywhere to go. I'm fine. I have nowhere to go.
Due to technical issues beyond our control, we are continuing.
Thank you. This is the Jeffrey Breslau Hours. Bitch.
All right, do that character voice again. That was awesome. You've got a great face for radio, my friend.
All right, I've extended the show.
Yay! Bravo!
I used my
Halloween,
the game is in overtime.
I used my executive position to extend the show, and I run the board. So
We just got to get
Not only he's producer, he's executive.
We've got to make sure
there.
Jeffrey is back safe and sound in Pasadena before the Dodger game starts and nukes the 210 freeway.
Yeah, and blocking puts traffic in his way.
Oh. Now, do you think it'll be? I have like 4 Halloween parties in the Valley. Will it be bad because of the Dodger game?
Depends on whether they all get dressed up as Dodgers.
I'm praying it'll be an early blowout so I can drive in peace.
Yeah, well, who knows? We'll see. You don't know nowadays.
I was a movie guy, not a baseball guy. And there's only one real
We're
manly
movie people.
And there's only one manly real sport, and that's hockey.
Oh, yeah.
I got a question for you. It has to do.
Between all the fights, a game broke out. You know?
Tell me about.
That's almost as bad as your penguin joke.
Yeah, right.
I want to know your connection with Transformers.
Interestingly enough, I have a picture that I sell at conventions, and it shows me with Grimlock and Starscream. Now, back in 1984 and 85, but to preface this, whenever kids come up to my table at conventions and they see the Transformers, I always say to them, "You like the Transformers?" And they'll go, "Yeah, we love the Transformers." And I say, "You're welcome." And they say, "What?" Back in 1984 and 85, I was hired, I lived in New York at that time, I was hired as one of the promotional team.
Oh, when Marvel came up with it, when Jim Shooter was running the backstory, right?
No. I was part of the promotional team getting the action figures into the toy stores in the United States.
Super God Robot. The Transformers Japanese, so you know Super God Robot Force.
Yeah.
That was the original name. Isn't that cool?
So I was Grimlock, both the Autobot and the Dinobot, and I was Starscream.
Really?
They had huge, heavy, molded plastic suits. I would stand.
Wow.
I would stand about your height.
Wow.
In those suits.
They did a fine
So this
job
is-
of constructing that.
this is
because
back-
Back
this
in
is-
'84. Listen, I went to. Me and my one friend who's an Imagineer now, we were at Universal and Meet the Transformers. 2 Transformers came out in suits. Were you in that?
Mm-mm.
No?
No, I would go to toy stores. I would go to licensing parties, events, basically anywhere where distributors were.
In the outfit, and you do the voice too?
No. There were no voices at that time.
Really? Oh
Right,
yeah,
that was
the
before
Transformers
the-
originally only spoke
We
Japanese.
were not allowed to talk.
Seriously?
We were not allowed to talk. It was not for the same reason like with the Disney characters.
Well, you'd
you know,
break
when
the
you see
illusion.
the plush, the fur characters.
Bodysuit, plush.
Yeah, when you see the fur characters walking the streets like Chip and Dale or Goofy or any of those, they're not allowed to talk.
Wow.
But that's for a different reason. That's because Disney wants to keep them consistent. When we were doing the early Transformers, I don't think they had voices yet. They didn't want to lock a voice in.
And if they heard you talking, wow.
So,
this
yeah.
is the first generation of Transformers.
Yeah. Now, a buddy of mine, Greg Berger, is the voice of Grimlock.
And not only is he the voice of Grimlock, he also did the pig on Duckman, Kraven the Hunter on Spider-Man. Interviewed him, one of the coolest dudes. He left me a thank you note in the pig's voice. I come home in a phone message thanking me as the pig for the interview I did with him. I thought that was class.
Oh, yeah. He's a classy guy. Really great guy.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever... I've done one video game. Have you done any voiceovers for videos?
No, not
games?
for videos yet. I have not done voices for video games, and I have been trying to break into cartoons, but nothing that I've done have ever gone anywhere.
Wow.
I had one. I was the voice of a superhero years ago.
Which one?
And it was a character that never got off the ground, unfortunately, due to a car accident that the producer was in. But my character was Force Man.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
So you kind of get that work, you kind of have to be on Nickelodeon and get like Bob SquarePants or Rocco or something like that, you know?
Yeah, Cartoon Network. Yeah, friends of mine have done that. In fact, funny story, one of my old convention buddies, his name is George Lowe.
George Lowe from Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Uh-huh.
Wow!
And, I love the guy to death. I really do. It's just a little quirky in that when you see George...
He does not look like a superhero.
And, well, it's not a matter of look, but he does not just autograph a picture for somebody. He writes over the entire thing. There's very little white left when he gets through with it. But he is a stream of conscious type. He will go on, and when he talks, I mean, he beat out Gary Owens, who was the original
voice of Space Ghost.
For Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Wow.
And for the entire weekend, he talks like this. Greetings, Citizen Jeffy. And he that's the way he talks. Now, I would be sitting next to him at conventions. And by Sunday, I'm talking like this too.
The cult of George Lowe.
Yeah, but I love. He'll see two bodybuilding guys, Marines walking by, and there they are, the meaty boys. He'll go on and just he's in his own little world, but it's a world you want to visit.
No, it's charming as hell.
Yeah, but I have not been able to break into that yet. Mainly what I've been doing is audiobooks.
Really? John Hurd. I interviewed John Hurd right before he died. John Hurd used to do audiobooks. How long will it take? He said doing Jurassic Park took him about 4 days because it was such a big book.
Well,
what have you read? What's the biggest book that we can hear you reading?
The biggest is a trilogy, and it's called Cheese Runners.
Wow.
Picture this, using Peter Cushing's index finger.
Yes.
Picture this.
The finger has exclamation point, Peter Cushing style.
Picture this. Aliens have conquered the known galaxy, and the only thing that they are addicted to is cheese, which is only found on Earth because that's where cows come from. So it becomes contraband. So instead of drug running or gun running, it's cheese running.
Oh, God, I love cheese. Grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh, yes. And in fact, in one episode, someone steals Tillamook.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's the best cheese out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. Well, now it's available on audible.com. And it's a trilogy. There's Cheese Runners, Cheese Rustlers, and Cheese Lords. And all three were written by Chris A. Jackson. And he wrote it specifically for audio.
Really?
Yeah. And he had since put it out in print, but he came to me and I wound up doing the narration, and I give each character a different voice.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
And I wound up having a fan base from it. Like I would, one year I went to the Superman celebration in Metropolis, Illinois. And all of a sudden, this couple gallop on over to me, and they're all excited, and they're looking at me wide-eyed, and the wife says, "It's you, isn't it?" Now, my first instinct...
Every actor's desire to hear that.
Yeah, but my first instinct would be to go and turn around and see who's behind me. Because they can't be looking at me.
Are you talking to
So
me?
finally,
Yeah.
so finally the wife goes, "No, you." And I said, "Okay, who do you think I am?" And she goes, "You voiced the cheese books."
Wow.
I said, "You heard those?"
Yes.
She says, "Are you kidding? My husband and I drive from Michigan all the way down to southern Illinois for the Superman celebration, and then at the end we drive back. Both coming and going, we're listening to the cheese books."
Wow.
That is so cool. I mean, that's a...
That's really charming that you have that sort of following.
Yeah, and I'll get texts from them every once in a while, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
You did Dead End with the first woman I ever saw topless as a teenage set crasher.
Linnea Quigley.
I saw Linnea Quigley at the height of her powers on Return of the Living Dead. How was she? Was she cool? I've always liked her.
Oh, yeah. Great woman to work with. She was a lot of fun. I played a corporate necktie zombie.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Here on IMDb.
Explain that, brother. Do we see you alive, or are you strictly dead by the time we catch up with you?
You see me dead, and then you see me deader.
Who kills you? Just Linnea Quigley?
A guy, no, Linnea doesn't. A guy by the name of Bjorn Jizkut
Wow,
kills me.
If you're going to die in a zombie movie, have Linnea do it next time. Not Bjorn Jizkut, whoever the hell this is.
But yeah, Linnea was
She's adorable.
classy woman. I loved Linnea.
Oh, she's a Floridian, or was for a
Yes.
while, just like you.
Oh yeah, she is. I think she still lives in South Florida. Yeah.
Boo.
But yeah,
Come on to the coast, baby.
I don't know if the movie will ever come out.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, it's been stuck in post-production for 6 years.
Whoa.
5, 6 years.
So Bjorn Heskut can be the next Harrison Ford, and we'll
Could
never
be,
know it.
Yeah, but Bjorn has been keeping pretty busy. He does a lot of horror movies. There are a number of actors, especially in Florida, they do horror movies. One of my buddies does a lot of those kind of movies, slasher movies, horror movies, karate movies. A guy by the name of Joel D. Winecoop.
Wow, what a name.
Yeah, but he is labeled the king of the B movies.
Well, what blows me away is he had to put the D in there, which means
Well,
there's
of course,
another
yeah.
Joel Winecoop somewhere.
Believe me, there is no other Joel Winecoop.
Yeah,
He is
that's his
unique.
real
He
name?
He is it. Yeah, that's his real name. And he is a very popular and well-respected actor.
A
And he's been doing a
question.
lot of things.
Oh, we got a question?
Yeah, this is from Indiana.
Oh, from Indiana.
From a Hoosier.
Yeah, from a Hoosier. A loser. What are you living in Indiana for?
Yeah.
Listen to us here in beautiful Southern California.
Yeah.
Home of the world champion, soon to be world champion Dodgers, I hope.
Or the new world champion.
I drove my ex-girlfriend to Indiana, and she hasn't returned.
She knows you.
She wanted to know, what's your favorite genre of films?
There you go, Jeffrey. Your favorite genre of films.
Well, a lot of it is what I'm in the mood for. Like, when it comes to, basically, classics. When it comes to horror films, I love the classic horror films. When it comes to comedies, I love the classic comedies. When it comes to suspense, I love the suspense. The classic suspense.
No, what era of classics would you give? I'm sorry, my mic just unplugged. Nothing but professionalism here. What era of classics are we talking? Like 40s horror, 70s?
I would go from horror, from the early 1930s.
Ah, Frankenstein, Dracula.
The original Universals, right up to, I would say, the 80s. 80s and 90s.
So you would include, thank you, you'd include the Hammer movie starring a
heck
lovely
yeah.
co-host. Yeah, wow.
Heck yeah. The Hammer.
By the way, the heck yeah makes me feel worse about swearing. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. No. Absolutely the Hammer films. I love the Hammer films.
Wow.
I wish the Hammer Studios was still around.
Wouldn't that be amazing? They keep trying to bring them back, but they never seem to get it going.
You know, one of the reasons why is because they were almost like a throwback to the old studio system. You usually saw the same people in the movies. They had a stable of actors, both character and leading, and they were used, and they were so wonderful. It was very comforting to see the horror films done in such a classy way.
The tavern owner. Well,
Yeah.
like that line Veronica laid on All Three of Us, where she said, four of us, where she said, "Oh, we're in another Ralph Peters movie." Remember, because the guy was
Michael
playing.
Ripper movie, yeah.
Yeah. That is hilarious, because you're right. I mean, they would have the same people playing the same things, like in B
Michael
movies.
Ripper usually played a coachman.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Dracula, you say? You want to go to Dracula Castle? Yeah. Mutton chops and the top hat. You know?
And as a matter of fact, one of the character actors who came out of the Hammer films was the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton.
Really? I did not know
Patrick
that.
Troughton played Krog in one of the Dracula movies.
Wow.
I got it. We've only got a few minutes left, Dan.
4 minutes, boys.
I want to go back to 1993 real quick.
Okay.
With Swamp Thing.
Hey, I'll go with you. We'll go to 1993, and all three of us will see Jurassic Park in the theater.
Swamp Thing, the TV show.
Yes. Wow. Tell us about that. I did one of the last interviews with the late, great Dick Durock.
Oh, yeah. He was a great guy. He was very professional. And funny thing is, it was still early in my career. And I met with Dick, and I said to him, you know, they're going to make me into a 200-year-old man. I'm looking forward to getting into the makeup. And he looked at me, he rolled his eyes, and he says, yeah, that'll get old pretty quickly. He was stuck in the costume the whole time. It was starting to affect his skin.
You know what? My friend was a producer on that, Stephen L. Sears.
Right. I know Steve.
And Steve said he had Dick Durock had the patience of a saint and was burning into his cheek.
Yeah.
And you guys literally had to shoot around him for a week to help.
Yeah. Dick was only in costume for like the last day or so, because it was back then. I guess the makeup was not.
It still has more development to go through. As
Yeah,
far as your skin
and also the
glue they were using.
It wasn't the kind of thing that was good for the skin. And with Dick, I mean, he went through 2 movies and 2 previous seasons of Swamp Thing. The Chains of Forever, which was the episode I did in season 3, was season 3. So he had a lot of time spent in the costumes. Now, Jim Benke, who was the special effects makeup artist, was able to pare down getting Dick into the outfit and getting him out. He pared it down from like 4 hours to like an hour and a half because of putting things onto an outer outfit and putting him into it and just doing the head, and he already had the appliances.
Yeah, he looked
for
like
the
a
head.
bun cake on the series. It looked like he could move his head.
Yeah, but it was great to work with him and with Mitchell Bach, who was my director.
Wow.
And it was a really wonderful show. At one point, it was the #1 show on the network.
Oh, that's right. It was shot in the then just open Universal Studios, Florida.
As a matter of fact, at the time, the swamp itself was part of the Universal Studio tour.
Really?
Yeah.
How much of it was a real swamp?
This is real swampland because we're in Florida.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, that just
Well, it
made
was
everything all
man-made.
better.
That with the swamp, which is supposed to be where the swamp is. I'm forgetting the name of the place.
Universal Studios.
No. The name in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah, Homa.
Homa.
And it drove me crazy because when I went to the real Homa, we were meeting my dad in New Orleans, my brothers and I stopped at Homa, and it was this Swamp Thing is famous for living in Homa. There was a comic book shop, and there was a Cajun restaurant called Ruby's. Now, I walk into the comic book shop. They're in the same strip mall.
Yeah.
I walk into the comic book shop, and I mentioned it being the home of the Swamp Thing, and they're looking at me, what are you talking about?
Who?
That's what they said. So I was kind of bummed out. I thought, the locals don't get it. I sit down in Ruby's, and I stole the program and gave it to the late Len Wein, the co-creator of Swamp Thing. So I opened the menu at Ruby's, and it says, Ruby's, welcome to Homa Ruby's, home of the Swamp Thing.
Oh, my God.
The restaurant knew, and the nerds in the comic shop didn't. I was disgusted.
You know, I got to meet with both Len and Bernie Wrightson.
Oh, God bless Bernie Wrightson. It was his birthday the other day.
Both of them gone.
Great guys.
Oh, yeah. And whenever I would see either one of them, I always used to say, thank you for the work.
Was it fun doing a scene? We got like 1 minute left. Was it fun doing a scene with a guy in a monster costume?
We never did a scene together.
You know, because Steve
We're in the
Sears...
scene together, but we didn't shoot together.
Wow.
I do that whole scene with Scott, the
kid,
the sidekick, and I'm doing the whole monologue about, do you believe in wizards, and magic, and the whole thing about the aqua vitae, and doing this whole thing, and then all of a sudden, my wife is talking, and then I pull out a gun, and so you're in this with the rest of them, and all of a sudden, I've come too far to lose now, and I'm aiming the gun, and all of a sudden Swamp Thing enters, pushes Scott out of the side, and he takes the hits.
What a guy.
We shot them at 2 different times.
Wow.
I shot at...
Swamp Thing.
It was supposed to be at Swamp Thing, but I shot towards a camera with a plexiglass shield over it.
Wow.
Swampy wasn't there. Swampy didn't come in until afterwards. And then he shot his scene on the last day with him standing there, and it was all a clever edit together.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hollywood magic.
Absolutely.
No. I remember Steven Sears saying the budget was so low.
Yeah.
Remember, that's why most episodes, he said all Swamp Thing could do is watch, because he sits on his butt and watches the...
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's one scene where I'm starting to get older, and I'm in the woods running away, and I'm sitting with holding my arm, and all of a sudden they have this blue aura around me, and you see it cut to Swampy looking at me from the trees, and that's where he says he's extremely old. The aura around him proves that he's extremely old. But all he does basically is watch.
He said that's all he could afford to do.
He couldn't hardly move in the costume. Wow. It was not easy.
Hey, speaking of not easy, we want to follow you. So where can people listening follow your appearances? Plug, Jeffrey.
They can get me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram.
Same name for everything, Jeffrey. Breslauer, right?
Breslauer, yes. Breslauer. On IMDb, I'm listed under Jeff Breslauer because that's when I started my career. That's how I was billed.
Wow.
Soon, hopefully, my website will be back up.
Good.
Yeah, it needs a lot of work, and nothing is up right now.
Yeah, so does ours.
Right. It would be www.jeffreybreslauer.com. That's when it gets up.
And do you have any plays or films coming up we could know about?
Nothing yet. I've been doing a lot of writing lately, and I have several writing projects in the works. Nothing I'm allowed to talk about.
Oh, that's good, though. It shows
one of them is part
intellectual
of a big
properties.
Franchise.
Really?
Yeah, one of them is part of a big franchise. So
fiction
or
non-fiction?
But it's something, hopefully, that will take off.
Fiction or non-fiction, Dan the Man wants to know.
Fiction.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Well, then, you know, when it takes off, you have to come back.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be
Wow.
my pleasure.
Okay, I would like to take a moment to plug tomorrow's show. We have a director, a producer from a web series called Jezebeth. That's going to be on Amazon Prime. He'll be calling in from Wisconsin, famous for cheese. We got cheese again. And in the studio, guess who we got coming in, Dan?
Uh-oh.
Very lovely lady. Deborah Lamb.
Yay!
She's going to come here before she gets on the plane and takes off to London. And I hope she brings, she'll bring us her body paint pictures.
I'm so amazed she's going to miss her plane for us.
We're going overtime, Deborah.
Oh, yeah, we will. If you come in, if Deborah comes in body paint, it'll be a 2-hour or 3-hour show.
Yeah, we'll go.
And no crashers tomorrow, Jeffrey.
Oh, we love our screen screen.
Yeah, Jeffrey, we can't thank you enough. Happy Halloween. Come back.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Sir.
Happy Halloween to you too. Both of you.
Wave
Thank you
goodbye
for having
to our
me.
Facebook viewers.
Thank you for having me. It
Bye,
was a
guys. Happy
pleasure.
Halloween.
Thank you.
Dan the Man.
Happy Halloween.
Wow. And thank you for coming in early. You were earlier
sure.
than Jeffrey
Yeah.
said to get kidded. He was here before us.
He was. He surprised me. I probably surprised him in my clown
A
getup.
vomit-covered clown.
You know, when you were in the clown outfit, I really expected you to look at me and go, "Hi."
I try to be gracious.
Yeah.
Wow, I look kind of cool right here. Kind of Jacko, Groucho Marx meets Yeah.
Wow, well, hell of a show, Jeffrey. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I have to ask you about your shirt.
Oh, sure.
Speaking of
Oh,
Transformers.
yeah, this is Transformers,
I
yeah.
didn't even notice that.
Unintentional. So you never finished your story on Transformers at that thing. You know what I mean? Did they ever ask you to do the voices once it got rolling?
No.
Wow.
Couldn't do the voices. That was still months away.
Like I said, when I went to Universal Studio, I'm like, oh, the cartoons come out like, and then there were guys in the costume, and they looked pretty good for '84.
Yeah.
I mean, things were still kind of, we didn't have.
It was the
make
Stone
things
Age.
fit, and these guys could move and function. And
I
the
tell you,
kids were
those-
going crazy.
Those costumes, those outfits, they were nightmares.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because the, like for instance, Starscream had a wingspan.
Oh, that's right.
So, it was almost like a Three Stooges routine waiting to happen.
Wow.
Because you had all of a sudden, hey, Starscream, and you go like this, whap. Now, I would be in toy stores like Bloomingdale's and Macy's, and I would be in the Dinobot outfit.
Whoa, yeah, with the
is like-
tail.
It was a short tail
Stubby,
because
yeah.
it was a T-Rex. So my legs would fit into the T-Rex's legs, and it would be like in a tank. And they
Wow.
would put the thing over, and I would be looking through this screen, and I'd be walking in the toy aisles in Macy's and Bloomingdale's. Now, the worst part about that is kids who come up behind me and lift the tail.
That's right.
Oh,
Because from the screen, all I can see is forward and down.
Wow.
And I'm trying to right myself, and in doing that, I'm taking out shelves of toys with me.
And these morons are. Wow, wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we got to do a Dan,
Yeah,
come in
pictures.
here.
We
We
gotta
got to
get
do
pictures.
our. With our humble guest. We got to do our photo against the wall photo for every guest.
All right, let me turn off everything in here, and I'll be right out.
Boy, we need to have a talk about that. Today's show, I mean,
Off the hook, man. Thank you, Jeffrey, so much.
Veronica's phone calls could have came in clear, but we pulled it off. But that mess with the keyboard, with the mixer board and everything, with the head, that gets me upset, man.
Thank you so much. I'm going to wear this when
Yes,
we take a
yes.
picture with Jeff. Get over here, Jeff.
That was way too fun.
No, hey, the pleasure was ours, man. I wanted an interview with you for a while, so
Really?
thank you very much. Oh, yeah. I mean, my friend and I are about to pull the trigger on a Superboy book. I haven't said yes yet because I'm waiting for the money to be better. You know what I mean? I've done 3 books for different publishers. And I basically told them, if we're going to do this, well, you know, you need to pay, you know?
Yeah, of course.
So once they're through, I'll be talking to you again if that's okay.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Well, get over here, boys. Get over here, Jeff.
Oh, wait, I got to put my glasses on to make it leather. So Svengoolie meets Thaddeus McBitty. There we go.
Get the heck. Thank you, Jeff.
All right.
The pleasure is mine, good sir.
Absolutely mine.
Thanks for coming
Thank
in
you.
early. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was amazing. In fact, I wanted to reward your earliness, but once we had her and you, because you're a film buff, you had great questions for her. The finger, she was very excited with the finger.
She didn't remember the finger.
Wow. When she mentioned the Michael Ripper, when she mentioned Christopher Lee, because she look, Chris, we're in another Michael Ripper movie.
But it was so funny when I saw the interview.
Wait, it's going.
I'm just making sure I got everything.
Now, will I be able to?
Oh yeah,
I'm looking on YouTube.
I got my Facebook live stream and the studio, the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll post soon as the YouTube channel clears censors, and then I'll post it to your wall.
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to post?
Absolutely.
Wait! I did, yeah, because some people put private where you can't.
No.
So and so
you
doesn't
already
let.
posted the ad.
Oh, that's
for it,
right.
so
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to get it out there.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, YouTube they have censors, and sometimes they get a really good censor, and they do it like in an hour.
Some wait till the next day.
Other time it's the next day because they're saying, "Oh, you played a copyrighted song," or "Oh, you did
Oh,
this,"
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
you
yeah.
said that." And it's
But
like,
we didn't play music.
No
today.
songs at all today. I wanted nothing fucking this up. You know what I mean? Pardon my French. But we hit the ground running so fast and so hard. By the time she called in, I think we had enough good credits on you that even when she was gone, and even if it was a little staticky for people with her, they were going to stick around to hear what Jeff had to
Well,
say.
Steve Joyner was commenting, and he's saying it's going good. He's
Good,
going
good.
No, I was listening.
So I'm glad that was coming good over.
Oh, Steve
the
Joyner,
internet.
listen. Good.
I was glad that you picked up where we left off.
No, you see that? That's a very good
That was,
report.
yeah.
Like I said, he's good at that.
Yeah.
I've done 400 published articles in 3 books. Don't worry. What was funny is because when you came in during the tomato story, I remembered right where we left off so I could work us back to it.
Yeah.
There was too much heavy lifting getting the Superboy. Once you answered this question, I dragged you right back to where we were.
Yeah, you have me throwing a curveball.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going like, where did this publisher come from?
Our executive
That
producer.
guy had a weird
Wait,
voice.
oh, yeah, Bubba, he sounded drunk.
He sounded like he'd had a few.
He mentioned being on welfare at one point, and I thought, wow, this has got to be a joke call.
For a while there, I thought he really wanted pizza.
Yeah, maybe he did. I mean, he was drunk. He sounded pretty drunk. What was funny is our executive producer asked about something that happened 20 minutes earlier.
I didn't know he was still on. I go, oh my God, he's still on.
I heard him breathing, and I heard him breathing, and I thought it was Dan the Man. And then he had this like rambling stream of consciousness. I couldn't get rid of him soon enough. There are some days where you'll have great callers. And to Bubba's hungover credit, some of his questions for you were pretty good.
Yeah, for being, yeah. And then
I'm pretty sure I'm in a welfare motel.
you never know when you get a call